All right, looks like it's 2 o'clock,
2
and
o'clock.
we are streaming live, I believe. So hopefully on Twitch and YouTube, this is
Right.
showing up. This is our second stream ever for CircleCI's kind of live coding sessions. We did our first one yesterday. So today, we're going to be doing some pretty interesting things. And before we get into that, though, I wanted to, just welcome everybody who's on the Twitch stream. I actually sent this to my mother, so hopefully she's watching. So hi, Mom, if you're watching.
Hi, Mom, too. I send it to my mother, too.
Yeah. So yeah, Mom, if you're watching, this is what they got me doing during
this is what I do for a living.
Instead of speaking at real conferences, I'm grinding it out in the basement, which is cool. But yeah, so this is our second live stream. So we're kind of getting the hang of it. So I think yesterday I dropped myself out of the conversation by mistake. So it completely messed it up, but it's okay. So today we're going to be working with a company called Solace, and let me introduce my co-host today is Tamimi. He's from
Angel and Tamimi show.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I was going to say the Angel and Tamimi show.
So Tamimi is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tamimi, you're a developer advocate, right, for Solace?
Correct.
And you're doing all the cool hacking on, code for Solace. So let's, since you're our guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Solace before we get started hacking. I'm really excited about this session, by the way.
Right. Okay, perfect. Well, first of all, thanks for having me today. I'm actually pretty excited about this live coding session because it's going to be like a pretty informal session. We're going to do some coding together, and I'd like to kind of give you like a bit of background about event-driven development in general, because at Solace, we're heavily involved in the event-driven domain. So, Angel, have you ever heard about event-driven development? Do you know what event-driven development is all about?
Oh yes, I've programmed my own applications and solutions using that paradigm. I've also supported it on the back end. So yes, I'm very familiar with the different types. But yeah, let's talk about Solace and all the cool stuff they do.
Yeah, no, event-driven development. Basically, so like if you've ever done any UI development, and I'm asking like if anyone as well on the live stream, let me know if you've ever done event-driven development or not. So I'll check out the chat. But in general, if you've done any UI development before, there's a very high chance you've already done event-driven. So there's a lot of people, for example, if you're doing any UI development, you might not be aware that you're doing event-driven development. So for example, if you're developing a button, for example, on a screen, and you're putting event listeners to that button, this is basically event-driven development, because, for example, if you have a button on the screen, you're not constantly polling to see if the button is being pressed. You're just connecting event listeners to that button. Event-driven development in general is pretty important because in a lot of industries, whereas the data is very like time-sensitive data, where you have to interact with the data as soon as it comes out. So I want to show you a quick graph over here that I have on my screen. Basically, I really like this graph because it's from Gartner. It shows the importance of real-time data. So this graph shows you that the data is most valuable as soon as it's released from the source, and as time passes by, the value of data reduces. So this is kind of the sweet spot of interacting with data in real time and getting as much information as possible we get, and have event-driven development. A lot of industries already work in event-driven development, whether it's in aviation, banking, the stock market, or if you have like an inventory system. You want to know data when it happens in real time, and this like event-driven development is used in industries where you cannot handle latency. So you want to interact with the data as soon as it comes, and it's just any event that's being fired, you want to interact to it. When it comes to event-driven development in general, there's like different patterns. There's a PubSub pattern, and in fact, like I can show you some like PubSub pattern. If we just Google a PubSub pattern over here and look at the Google images, you can see, for example, like you would have a publisher and multiple subscribers, and the publisher would publish the data and the event.
The image a little big. It's hard to see.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm all about those shortcuts. So yeah, like, if you have a publisher of the data and you publish on particular topics, you have different subscribers that subscribe to that, any messages that are published on that topic, and it would interact with it. So in a nutshell, this is kind of what a PubSub pattern is. And the idea, like the pattern, is not like a proprietary pattern. What we provide at Solace is we provide a very powerful and efficient broker that facilitates the tunneling of events and messages, right? So the infrastructure that is needed to facilitate that. And you could check out like more things about it if you go to solace.dev and look at the different use cases. You can see where like a PubSub pattern is mostly used, like if you have like an IoT application and you have different connected devices you want to communicate with each other, or if you want to have like, let's say you have a cloud infrastructure where you have different devices, you want to communicate with each other over an efficient platform, a broker. This is where Solace comes in creating the end-to-end infrastructure. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of industries that use event-driven development in general. So you can get that, event-driven is important, and also testing your event-driven application is very important. This is where kind of the importance of a CI/CD infrastructure comes in place, where yes, you have this event-driven platform and you have this application, end-to-end application, but then you want to make sure that your application, your architecture is strong, and there's if there's any failure, you want to continuously test it, you want to continuously update any new features, and if you want to make sure that if you push a new feature to your end-to-end architecture, it will not break it. This is where a tool like CircleCI kind of helps in facilitating a CI/CD infrastructure. So that's event-driven in a nutshell, and I am excited to walk you through today a simple app for building our own event-driven application in Node.js from scratch.
Yeah. Right. So just to add on to that, so some folks probably saw that, heard you, but probably don't still understand. I know when I started using some of this technology, I was a little lost as well.
Right.
So just to break it down a little easier, event-driven development is definitely more of a what they call a pull kind of system, right? So your applications, if you set up they have the two systems, a broker and a consumer, right? So if you think of a broker as somebody who's basically has a channel open, or is basically has data just sitting there, right? Basically interchanging data between different systems. So the broker is more of a aggregator of data, and then also a publisher of data, right? Whereas a consumer is just checking into that broker and asking for new information, right?
Right. So with the idea of the broker, so to like have a correction over there, so that the broker in general, if you think about it as a message bus, as an infrastructure, where you have publishers that would publish data, and then consumers that would subscribe to particular topics. So the nice thing about this, right? Yeah, this is like basically, you have a producer and a subscriber, publisher, subscriber. And the nice thing about it, it is completely decoupled. So the publisher is not aware of how many subscribers are subscribed to the topic. So all what the publisher does is it releases data to a particular destination, and the destination is the topic. And then it just sends this data or sends this event to the broker. Now the broker knows how many subscribers are subscribed to it, and it just says, hey, you subscriber, you're subscribed to this particular topic. This subscriber is subscribed to this particular topic. This is where kind of the magic sauce comes in place, the secret sauce, and like, okay, trying to like tunnel and route different data to different things. If you think about it, even like this is how the internet is built. You know, there's like multi-layers in your internet stack. You have routers, and every packet that goes through the internet goes to a router, and then the router knows what destination, what IP destination to send it to. So with a similar idea, analogy.
Yeah, I mean, and this is all stemming from back in the day, right? Telecommunications, this was huge.
Right.
PBX boxes, right? The exchanges were running in this sort of kind of channel kind of situation, right? And that's where like a lot of these languages like Erlang and you know, and their functional kind of paradigm development type languages, functional languages kind of stem from, right? The idea is everything's asynchronous or running concurrently, right? And that's kind of, I just wanted to get that across so folks who, you know, maybe are watching, like my mother who doesn't know, hi mom, again. But you know what we're going to do today though is we're gonna build an app, right? Now that we have Kubernetes, not Kubernetes, disregard. So now that we're under COVID-19, right? Solace has built some pretty cool open source tooling, leveraging their PubSub solution. And attaching to the live data from the different sources that are out there, like WHO, Hawkins. So why don't you let's set the stage for what we're going to be hacking on, because we need to start hacking. And so you're sharing your screen. Why don't you go ahead and pull up the project that we're going to work on. So today you set up a repo called I came up with the name of Kubernetes just as a fun kind of name, because it's kind of appropriate for what we're doing. So we have a GitHub repo that's pretty much empty right now, and what we're going to do is basically have Tamimi build a PubSub type application, and then it's going to consume data off of the Solace broker, and then from there we're going to get that application up and running, get it nice and tight, run some tests, build some tests for that, and then we're going to package it up into Docker container, and then we're going to build a CI/CD pipeline within this session. So literally what we're going to do is build an app, we package it, test it, build some tests, then we're going to build a CI/CD pipeline using CircleCI, and then hopefully we'll get a chance to deploy this thing to an actual Kubernetes cluster and have it running live. So it's a lot to take on. So let's just jump right in and
perfect. Awesome. And I'll be walking you step by step, and everyone as well watching will be walking you step by step from nothing to something. And as Angel mentioned, we will be consuming a stream of data that has updates on COVID-related updates. But let's put the COVID-related updates on the side for now. Let's establish our infrastructure, establish our the basics, and then we build on top of that. So I could go ahead.
Before you get started, you need to get that screen a little wider, I think, because it's small, brother. Just full screen that thing. And
here, would this be good? Because I'll be like going between terminal and VS Code.
Yeah, Alt Tab.
I could just do that. Perfect. Is this better?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, you can zoom in a little bit, I think.
I did zoom in a little bit.
Okay. Well, can people say, is that good enough in the chat? I'm watching for comments here.
I'll see.
Anyway, just get going. We'll see if they need to zoom in more.
All right. Okay. See the comments on the channel. If there's anyone saying that they can't see, I could respond to this. So I'm just going to go with the assumption that everybody is seeing what I'm doing on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this repo. So we opened up this repo. It's very empty right now. So I copied the link, and I'm just going to git clone that. Oops. Git clone. I need to copy this. I didn't copy it, so I'm going to copy this. And then what I'm going to do is git clone. All right. So now if I go to Kubernetes, you're going to see that it's an empty repo, and I'm going to open. another. So here you go. I have this over here. So I will make this bigger. So it's an empty repo. I'm gonna go ahead and initialize that repo with a file. I'll call it like an index.js. Before I do this, because we're doing a node application, so I'm just gonna do an npm init. So start a node application, and what I'll be doing over here is, because we're going to be using MQTT, and MQTT is a protocol that we use to communicate with the broker. So to explain things even better, so you'll see this is how a Solace broker works. So if you see, this is the Solace broker in the center. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use an MQTT protocol in JavaScript in particular. So a Node.js application is going to use an MQTT protocol and connect to the Solace broker. So let's go ahead and do this. So before I do that, yeah.
While you're doing that, so I like to explain things a little bit, because folks who've never heard of MQTT or any of this, right? Basically, an MQTT is a message queue. What's the rest of it? Message queue, transport. Anyway,
yeah.
You can look it up. But basically, what it is if folks are on here that are used to programming using like RESTful type protocols, right? So it's just a communication layer for the application to communicate, right? So applications can communicate on this protocol instead of using like a straight up REST or TCP/IP. You're using an MQTT, which is is it an open? I'm not sure if it's open.
It is an open protocol. Yeah, it is an open standard protocol. Yeah.
Okay. So it is an open protocol, and then what we're doing here though basically is MQTT is basically the way it works is it's a more of a long pole, right? So it's continuously calling back to some broker or some whatever system. So if you're a consumer,
you're right, broker.
You're consistently calling back, right? Like however the application's set up. But just think of it as like a long pole, but more efficient, of course, because it's knocking down all of the
and we try to think about it like, as opposed to being a pole, you're just establishing a connection, you're opening a connection. And so this is where like the real time comes in place. This is the difference between like real time and a REST app, is that if you open an MQTT connection, this means that you don't need to continuously pull the broker, be like, hey, broker, do you have anything? Hey, broker, do you have anything? Hey, broker. So if anything comes in, the broker is going to be like, okay, here you go. There's a message that came, and this is like your application will receive that if it's subscribed to that particular topic. So that's the nice thing about MQTT, or just event-driven in general. If you're using any event-driven protocol, the idea behind it is you get a stream of data into your app.
Right. And unlike web services, you're able to connect, right, without having to open any kind of ports, right? Because when you have a web type application, you need to have an ingress port open. So even MQTT is a little bit more secure that way too, because they don't have that extra layer of having opening a port, right? So like again, the consumer, which are the client applications, know where to phone home, is what I like to say, like call back to the solutions, and then the solution knows, all right, this is a legit client, here's some information. Anyway, so get back to hacking. Sorry, I just wanted
to no worries. Okay, since we're using MQTT, the first thing I want to do is I want to npm install MQTT. All right. So MQTT is what we're going to be using to start with this. So let me close this. Let me create a new file, call it index.js. Oops, I went to the wrong one. So it is index.js. And in this file, what I'm going to be doing, the first thing what we're going to do is we want to set up the configuration setup for connection. And then what we want to do after we set up the configuration setup, we want to do connect to the broker, right? After connecting to
we have a question, brother. It says,
go ahead.
Is it similar to WebSocket? I guess MQTT.
Good question. So the idea behind it, yes, it's similar to WebSocket. So you see, WebSocket is a protocol that you use to connect to a broker. So WebSocket is one of the many ways you can use to connect to a broker. So the idea behind it, into the basic concepts, yes. So you know how WebSocket, you just open a connection and
Right.
you wait for apps, you wait for messages to that. Cool. So what we're going to do after we connect to the broker, I want to set up some callback functions. And but what I mean by callback functions is I want to handle what happens when I connect to the broker, what happens when I get a message to the broker, what happens when I disconnect, and when I get an error. So this is kind of like the basic setup. After we test out our connection to the broker and we make sure that we are connected, what I want to do is consume and process the stream of data, right? The stream of data. And after which I want to publish back to a modified stream. So in a nutshell, this is the skeleton of our application we want to create to go ahead and do it. And Angel, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me, and then we could take it from there. So let's
hack.
Sweet. Let's go ahead with hacking. So first thing
Yeah.
I want to do is I want to get the MQTT client. So I want to require it from MQTT, and then what I want to do is configuration setup. So before I want to do the configuration setup, I have a host. We want to get the host. And what I also want to do is a configuration, and in that configuration, I want to get the username, and I'll explain it in a bit what these are, and then the password. All right. So what this is basically, what I want to do is I want to get a host, which is our broker, and I want to connect to that broker using the username and password. So we published a so if you go to Solace Labs COVID-19 stream, so this is a broker that we made it open to the public, so that anybody from the public could connect to it and consume a stream of data. So this is our broker. We connected that broker to where we're getting data from Johns Hopkins University and the COVID tracking project. Angel, do you know what the COVID tracking project is?
Not from Johns Hopkins. I was when we got in lockdown. I was messing around with some Johns Hopkins data because in the beginning it was really dirty, and I was doing some dedupe type solutions. But then I guess they figured that out, and I just stopped hacking. But no, I don't know.
Right. So the COVID tracking is similar to, like, so here, if you go to the covidtracking.com, so they have a bunch of data. So the COVID tracking data is all states in the United States, and it has a lot of information about every state, like COVID related information in every state and county in the United States. So our broker is connected to this data, and you could consume this data from our broker. So you could see on this GitHub repo, we have some information on how you can connect to the Solace broker. So because we're using MQTT protocol, so I'm going to be using this as the host URL. So let's go back here. So this is my host URL. Oops. This is my host URL. And then I have the username is COVID public client. And then we have the COVID-19 is the password. And this is on here. So we have a username and a password that you can use to connect to. So perfect. We set up the configuration setup that is needed for that. Now let's go ahead and just connect to the broker. So the first thing we want to do is we want to establish an MQTT client, right? And the MQTT client is, you could get more information if you go to like npm MQTT and check it out over here. So you can see that this is the MQTT library that we just installed. And it shows you like an example on how to connect to an MQTT client. So I'm going to be doing something very similar. I'm going to connect to the client, giving a host, and then set up callback functions, what we want to do when we connect to the broker and what we want to do when we get a message. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to hacking and set this up, what would happen when we connect to the broker. So we have a client, and what we're going to do is connect to that client given the host and configuration that we just set up over there. And simply, what we want to do is set up an on connect. When we connect to that client, what we want to do is figure out. So client dot on connect. I'm not typing properly. All right. So and here what we do is a callback function. So what we want to do is just console log the fact that we are connected. Yeah, this is here, connected, and it would be nice. Let's add some emojis. That would be pretty cool. All right,
Oh
connected.
wow! So are we like?
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
we roll these days.
That's
You're young
that's
guys, I'll
rolling.
tell you.
Yeah,
You love those emojis
I'm
everywhere,
doing
huh?
emojis today.
Like what? So what's that one? Is that like the lightning fast?
I mean, I don't know.
speed?
It just for me, this looks like a connected emoji.
Yeah, that looks like something worse to me. But anyway, go
Oh
ahead.
man! All right, fine. We're connected.
It's all good. It's all good. Let's
So
go.
we actually have enough to test what we have to see that are we actually connected to the right broker or not. So I'm
Wow,
gonna
you
go
just
ahead.
wrote that app in like what?
That's it.
Like 3 minutes or something?
Yeah. So let's give it a shot. So what I'm gonna do is node index. So there you go. We are connected to the broker right now. And to prove it is if I do something else here and just change the password, we're still not connected. So we literally right now have the what it takes to be connected to the broker. All right.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want like let's say that this is a subscriber app. Is on Connect. I want to subscribe to a particular topic. All right. So let's say I want to define a demo topic. Okay. So topic demo equal. Let's call it demo test, and I'll explain what I'm going to do over here right now. So when I connect to the client to the broker, I want to subscribe to the topic demo. All right, I want to subscribe to the demo. And then what I want to do is when I get the message, all right, so when I get the message, I want to say received message. And since we are in the topic of emojis, let's see what emoji we want to get. Let's do an eyes emoji.
The biohazard one, right?
The biohazard one?
I'm just joking. It's all
okay,
good.
fine.
Use your eyes,
all
man.
right.
Good.
Here you go. Okay, so we received this, and then what I want to do is I want to console log the message, right?
So
So
let me ask you a question. Because you're sticking those emojis in there, and it obviously the Unicode, right? It will decode that. What if I'm using like a Linux machine or something like that? Will I be able to see that emoji in the terminal or no? You're muted. Hold on, Tim. You're muted, buddy. I can't unmute you. Your mic's not connected, it's saying. All right, so he's having an issue with his microphone. So yeah. Still can't hear you, brother. All righty then. Now, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. So the battery.
What you did.
My headphones are probably low. So if it happens again, I know how to fix it.
All right.
Anyways, let's get back into it. All right. So what I want to do is I want to say I received a message on topic, and the nice thing about the callback, the message callback, is it takes a topic, all right, and a message. So let's go ahead and do this. Received on topic, and this is the topic that we received on. And then the message is the provided message over here. So what I want to do is when I receive a message, I want to like point out what this message is. So first of all, I want to connect, so you can see we are connected. And I want to, oops, bring this down a bit, so that would be like pretty cool to see. On Solace, Solace Cloud, so we have something called our Solace console over here. And this one is once you set up your account to use our cloud broker, you can set up your own, and it's free. You don't need any credit card to set it up. So you could go ahead and set up your own Solace cloud broker. And once you set it up, you have the opportunity to go ahead and do this Try Me tab. So what Try Me tab is it gives you the opportunity to connect to the broker, and you can try out different topics, like publishing different topics. So if I connect it to that particular broker, and you can see over here, I am subscribed to a demo test topic. So what I'm going to try is I want to publish to that demo test topic, and I'm expecting that my app over here should receive that because I'm subscribed to it.
So is this like a freemium tier for Solace, for folks who just want to kick the tires on the technology and make sure?
Exactly. So this is like a freemium tier. You could go ahead and like on Solace Cloud sign up. You could sign up for your own broker within like 5 minutes. You have a broker up and running that you can connect to, given the connections. And there's like information on how you can connect to that broker.
That's cool, because that's part one of the big pain points is setting up brokers. You know what I mean? Like you want something online quick and up and running, kind of like that's how CircleCI is too. You know, you don't have to stand up your continuous integration and infrastructure.
Totally.
That's what we bring to the table. So that's cool. That's nice that you got that feature. Yeah.
So you can go ahead. So like I am connected right now to that the same broker that we have published, and then I'm gonna try to publish. So go ahead, I published a hello world. So you can see that I received something. So I received a message on topic demo test, and this is the message.
That's always good.
We received the message. So yeah, you could go ahead and like publish a bunch of things, and you can see like I'm receiving a bunch of these messages.
Right.
Obviously, this message is in a buffer format. So to see it, all what you have to do is the .toString. And then once I have the .toString in there, and then run it again, all what I'm going to do, I'm going to let's say publish things again, so you can see hello world. I received the message. So
are those excuse me, are those you know, those SDK is an SDK that you're using from Solace, right? Or is it just an MQTT?
Oh, so I'm not using an SDK for this one. So as I showed you in the picture before, all I'm using, yeah, I'm just using like an MQTT, like the one that I just installed from NPM install MQTT.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Cool. Yeah, no, I just wanted to clarify that just to make sure.
So this is kind of like a pretty cool, like right now, like we did this right now within like, what, 10 minutes, established a infrastructure of the infrastructure. We're connected to the broker, and now we're receiving messages. All right. So this is pretty cool.
Are you at a good stopping point so I can address some of that code?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's talk about security. Right. One of the things I see here, I know that your broker is public, so username and password's available. But since we are building applications and people are watching, I would recommend that we stick those somewhere where folks, you know, it's not embedded in the code, and just add a layer of abstraction to remove that from the actual code, and then do a reference, maybe an environment variable. That's kind of actually. Yeah, generally what we usually do, right? As developers, we want to secure our code, and even if these passwords are public, and you know, doesn't really matter. I think it does, because you want to stay in standard form when you develop.
Right, 100%. No, that's actually a good point, and that's fair. So let's go ahead and make it more secure. With Node.js, are you aware of .env? .env is a npm package, so npm.env. Basically, you can use that to store your environment variables. So you store your environment variables,
right?
.env, yeah, sure.
For environment,
yeah.
No worries.
.env. So you could check this out. It's an npm package, and like figure out how to do it. But in a nutshell, the way that you can use this is you can have an .env file, and in here you define your environment variables. So let's say that I have an environment variable, call it broker host, and then I have a broker password, Oops. And then I have if broker username. My broker host would be this whole thing.
Nice.
And let's go
So you
ahead
can
and
just
try it.
take that string right out, yeah? Do
Right.
you have
And
to quote that at all? Or no?
I don't think so, but let's go ahead and try it.
Yeah, I think it'd probably be good to, keep your, because you're just going to stick a variable in there anyway, right?
Yeah.
On the backside, I think. Yeah.
So you're saying, should I put it in the quotes? Let's go to shot.
Yeah, it's fine. But whatever
Okay.
you've used this before. I'm
Let's
fairly
try
new
this.
to env, so
Cool. So first of all, so I am using .env, but I'm gonna have to install it. So npm install .env. 1 second. When this. All right. npm install .env. All right. So it's installed, and the way that we can do that is at the top we require .env. And we do a .config. So what .config does is it loads the environment variables in this file. So all what I'm going to do is instead of doing the host, the way that I can access the environment variable is process.env.broker host. And this is what we called it, broker host. Broker host, perfect. So what we're going to do is the same thing for the username and password. So we're going to do is instead of the host, we want to do, the user.
Is that your mom pinging you?
Hi guys. And then we have the password. So this is what I call them, username, password. So user, password. So before we go forward with this, let's go ahead and see if .env works.
Yeah.
So with this
make
one,
sure the app runs with your new configuration change,
right.
Which leads me to the next step. I don't know if we're ready, but we need to start writing some unit tests, right? Because
right, that's actually, I would say the unit test, let's keep it for a bit once we do the processing of the data. But I'm gonna see here, so I have some issues with the console log, the environment variables. So the host is not, I don't think the environment variables are being accessed. So I'm gonna come here. Oh, it is being accessed, right?
Yeah, looks
so,
like
it. Let me do the same thing for, so I have my user, and then I have my password. Okay, so username and password, they're there, COVID, but I am not being connected. So I'm seeing over here, so let me create this. So, because what I'm doing is I am passing so the environment variables are being passed, which is good. And what I want to do is when I'm connecting here to the host, let me actually do before I connect, console log the host and the config as well to make sure that I have them correct. So my host and configuration is correct. They're being passed.
So could it be the
let me see.
Oh yeah, it should be, right? You have
yeah. So I have it here, and I should be connected to that file. Let me see.
Well, see, this is how we do what we do. So the folks who you broke it, but we'll fix it.
We broke it, but we'll fix it.
That's
so,
so could it be that maybe the quotes need to be, for the, you know what I mean? Because in general, when you're doing environment variables, there's always that I always quote mine because, there's always that possibility that what it's doing is converting things, and it may not be doing it properly. Is it connecting?
No, it's not connecting. Let me figure this out. Okay, So what I'm gonna do right now is try to go with it, like put it directly in here, just in case that might be the reason. Oops. So I previously had the file.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got you. But the host, I guess, doesn't need to be protected in a sense. It should be eventually, but let's give it a shot. Maybe that.
Yeah, maybe perhaps.
Could it be that it needs to be in that config nest?
No. So before, what we had it is like we had it like that. So we have our username. Oops. So if we had our username, sorry, username. And,
you know what? I don't think you saved that env file, dude.
I think I did save it.
Try it.
Let me try this out. And then, so what I had this, I want to try it without the environment variables and see if it was the case.
Get it back working. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so it's connected like that.
All right. However, well, I think for the sake of time, normally we would secure it, but let's move on because
And if you want to secure it, this is how you secure it. And to be honest, I will. If you want to secure it, this is how you do it.
If there's time later, we'll come back to it. Right?
That's actually a good point. I have it here as a setup. So let's
before we move on, I have there is a question here from Connor Gunn.
Right.
Oh wait, he said username and password are reversed.
Oh my God.
There you go, man. You broke it. I didn't even notice that.
Wow, thank you, whoever found this out.
That's Connor. My man Connor. He hooked it up. So there you go.
Connor, hats off to you right now.
I didn't even see that. I was like, well, what's going on? Anyway,
let's try this out. Okay, fingers crossed. Come here. Boom! Connor, thank you very much.
Hey, Mark, why didn't you catch it? Or Mom, why didn't you catch that?
Seriously, we gotta. I want to send a sticker to Connor. I'll chat with him later. So Connor, thanks for catching this.
Real quick though, let's get this question answered that's on the screen by Connor. It's if you take a look at the stream, it's basically. Quick question: what's the difference between Solace and Mosquito MQTT broker?
Okay, that's a good question. The Solace broker in general has so with using the Solace broker, there's so many benefits and efficiencies you can get using the Solace broker. First and foremost is you can connect so many different applications with different polyglot protocols to the same Solace broker. So let's say that you have an application using MQTT communicating with the Solace, and then you have another application using Solace native SDKs sending messages to these topics, and you have like different applications sending messages to the same broker. So the first benefit or advantage over this is it's polyglot, like it supports multi protocols, and then the actual Solace broker itself is very efficient in a sense that and I'm not going to delve into that a lot here. Like there's so much into the Solace broker and the Solace technology that can handle huge amount of data and messages in an efficient manner, and something called the topics as well. You could do a lot of things with the topics, but I'm happy to discuss that offline. So if I didn't answer your question, Connor, feel free to ping me at Solace Devs.
Yeah, just hit him. Well, actually, just hit him at on Twitter, right? Like you got the Twitter handle.
Beauty.
Connect that way. It's all there.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are we gonna do next?
Next, I want to show you that I want to connect to the actual real data. So right now on our open source GitHub repo, we put a topics that you can subscribe to and get COVID related updates. So you can see it on the screen, which is this one as well. This is the repo. So if I go to the table of contents over here, so I can see choose your topics. There are topics that are related to Johns Hopkins University data over here. So this is kind of like Johns Hopkins related. But what I want to do is I want to connect to the COVID tracking project.
Yeah, let's get some of that state data, right? That we can take a look at. I'd like to see what New Jersey's up to. That's where I'm at. So.
Fantastic. All right. So instead of doing
see how many are infected in my state.
Done. Let's see the topic. I'm going to create another directory, call it topic subscribe. And what I want to do is this. So there's something you can use like wildcards in MQTT. So I'm going to use a pound or hashtag. This basically is I want to get everything under states. And what I want to do is subscribe to that topic, all right? Subscribe to it over here, and then that's it. All I need to do is just subscribe to a different topic, and let's check this out.
So let's take a moment to see what you just did. You're basically setting basically a subscription channel, right? So you're saying,
right.
With this code, you're saying I want to attach, you know, to the state's current stream of
right.
or subscription. So
right.
it's basically like a channel, right? So if you look at it like a YouTube channel, you can kind of subscribe to it. And this is what we're doing, is subscribing to a specific channel where the data is filtered down to a specific, right, kind of, it's filtered to that, to how you're basically illustrating there with the namespacing, right? So you're saying, give me the states, current data, and then any updates that come up. So that update channel or that update segment is literally where you're getting the real-time feed, right? And
100%.
Right. Cool. Yeah. So go ahead. And by the way, that topic sub variable is literally like a query, right? So this is typically how you would query an MQTT channel. So if you're using SQL, you would use a SQL statement. But with this, you're using a MQTT query.
An MQTT like topic, basically. And like the same thing when you do like a REST API or REST call, you have like your endpoint and you do it.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So the difference between like a REST and an event-driven approach. So with the REST approach, you continuously query that endpoint, but with an event-driven approach, so this is here where we're getting into the difference between a REST and an event-driven approach. With an event-driven approach, you just subscribe to that endpoint, and you don't need to continuously pull that endpoint. But like, hey, did I receive any new data? Did I receive any new data? Did I receive new data? So you just subscribe to that endpoint, and any data that comes in, you just receive it.
Right.
Cool.
All right, man. Go ahead. We're running out of time, and we got a lot to do. So let's.
So what I'm going to do is I connected to the broker and I subscribe to that particular topic, and I want you to see that. So this our broker on an interval of 30 seconds. So check this out. Every 30 seconds, I received huge amount of data. All right, and I received it on these topics. So like these are different states, and you can see that this is a JSON response. To make it look good, what I'm going to do is I'm going to JSON parse the response. So this is like very simple. So the response, I want it to be a JSON.parse the message over here. So this one it will be the response. And then what I want to do is this. And simply what I want to do is you will see that all the responses that I get is going to be in a JSON format and output it really nicely. So what I did right now is we have a skeleton code running that connects to the broker, subscribe to the topic, and prints out any of the payload of the message that we get, which is pretty cool. And right now you will see that as soon as the data comes in, so now it's in a readable format. So you can see that the data that's coming in has all this information, so like COVID-related information, and this is for all the states in the United States, all the states in America. So there's information about the total number of negative, the total number of people that are affected, the recovered, and the positive people in this. So since we're getting data for all the states, let's go ahead and choose only one state. Which where do you live, by the way, Angel?
NJ, New Jersey, capital N, capital J.
Capital N, capital J. All right. So
we are the second most infected state in the United States. So yeah, so we're a hot zone and we're still recovering. It's pretty bad.
What I'm going to do is moving onward from now onward. Let's do things for New York. Process the data. So now my application, what I want is to develop. I want to develop an application that takes in this raw data, and I want to calculate the percent of the people that are positive and the percent of the people that are negative. So you can see this is a NJ. That. So we don't have any
algorithm. Well, no, I mean it'll be useful to figure out, you know what I mean? How many are infected in real time, by the way, right? So these numbers will change as
these numbers will
The
change.
calculation changes as more data is published.
Exactly. Every 30 seconds, there's a new data that comes up. You get it in real time. You don't need to continuously pull. So
let's do it.
Let's do it. Let me clean this object and add the percentages. So what I want to do is when I receive an object, all right, the first thing that I want to do is I want to modify the stream. So let me create a new object, all right. In that new object, what I want is I want the state for sure. So it's the response.state. I'm gonna copy paste this. So what I want is I want the state. I also want the total test results. And mind you, this is all from the JSON object that we got. And I want the death number in here. I also want the negative. Actually, what I'm going to do, I already have it around here, so to save some time. So this is what I want. And I want to calculate the percent positive, percent negative. And basically, it's the number of people that are positive over the total, negative over the total. So this will give us a very cleaner object. And what I want to do is I want to publish this back to the broker as a stream so that someone else could subscribe to that on a different topic. So right now, we did subscribe to this topic, but I want to publish it to a different stream, right? So let's say that what I want to do is, let's put a console log here. That would be cool. Console log, I want to say publishing to topic. And then let's put an emoji, a fire emoji. That would be pretty cool. So I want to publish to a particular topic, and to publish to a topic, let's say we want a client.publish. Oops, client.publish. Now here we have to give it the topic that I want to publish on, right? So let's go ahead and create a new variable, which is a topic publish. So what I want to do is I want to publish on a topic that has the percent, right? Percent for that particular state. So we want update. So what I want to do is, let me open a new file and just say copy this. Eventually, what I want to do is something like this. So this is my topic structure, and I want to put the state name in here. So I want to publish again, so consume the data. So my application, what would my application do? It would consume the data, process the data stream, and then publish it again to another topic, which is the state. So simply, what I'm going to do is, so I have it over here. So this is it. So check it out. What I'm taking is my topics subscription. I'm concatenating the state.
Right.
And I'm publishing it again as a binary, right? So I want to show you something over here that if I don't publish it as a binary, let's say that I just publish my new object. Oops, new object over here. So yeah, so if I want to publish my new object again back to the broker, let's come here and do it again. So what's happening, what we're doing over here is we're consuming the stream of like raw data. In this case, it's only New Jersey because we just subscribed to New Jersey, and we are modifying the stream, okay, by adding the percent positive and percent negative, and we want to publish it back to the same broker. But what I did in my code is I published back to the same broker with a JSON object. And I want to show you how, like, if you publish in a different thing, it tells you that you have an invalid argument type. It has to be a string or a buffer. This is why I change it to a buffer before I send it back to the broker.
So you're making it a compatible encoding, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Because it's not serial. It doesn't know how to deserialize JSON.
Right.
Right. So you have to send the raw bits, and then
100%. So right now, what I'm going to do is I want to send it to to a particular topic. So before I do that as well, so like here you see like I have on disconnect and on error. So just gonna put this here. This is kind of like good practices, best practices in like when you build your app, you want to handle disconnecting and you want to handle errors that happen, right?
Sure.
So you see over here, I am publishing to a particular topic. So every time I get data, I publish to a topic. How can we check that this topic has received this? I want to show you another cool thing. We can either go to the Try Me app, to the Try Me. Oops. So let's say, let me do this. Let me bring it here. So in the this GitHub repository, we also have sample applications, right? So we can create an application. We created a sample application called like an MQTT COVID viewer. So what this app would do is a very, very simple basic app. You just go here and then you say, okay, you want to subscribe to a particular topic, right? So since we are publishing to that topic that I showed you earlier, which is the percent update, I want to subscribe to that topic over here. I want to subscribe to everything on this. So look at this. You'd see I am subscribing to this topic. More.
Yeah.
So I'm subscribing to this topic. So here you go. I'm receiving
Nice.
data. And this data that is being received is every time I process the data over here, and this is on a 30-second basis, it's going to push it there.
So let's just break this down. So basically what you've done here is you established within this application, you've established a consumer of a particular bit of raw data, right? Which is, and then we filtered it down to New Jersey. And then what you've just done with creating, so let me step back. So we've taken that data that we filtered from New Jersey, the raw data. Then in this program, you've taken that data and you're calculating the percentages, right?
Correct.
Of those infected versus what was it? The calculation again?
Here it was like percent positive and percent negative.
Percent negative, right? So you're doing a percentage based on the positives and negatives, and then your application, what you've just kind of hacked on and coded, was basically a publish channel, back to the broker, so that someone can consume, another application or someone else can consume that particular thing. So what you're doing is basically receiving data, processing it, and then submitting it back to a broker so that it is available through another channel, right?
100%. All right. So that's exactly what I did over here.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool. So I know that we're at the hour mark coming up. So let's if we can get this app going, so we can start doing some.
All right, we're like almost done with this app.
We're gonna need that time.
All right, perfect. So what I want to do, just the very last thing is here, instead of, remember I removed the New Jersey. Now I am publishing. I'm like subscribing to all the states. Right. And what I want to do is publish on that state. So you would come over here, you will see I did not change anything with my app. So I'm getting like for all the states right now, every time it gets published, I get it. So I have my PubSub app up and running, and this is pretty much it from the app. So that's it. We have the app up and running. We're processing the application over here, and it's ready. It's ready to go. I know you mentioned something about unit testing. All right. Yeah.
But before we do that, so we basically have the app functional, right? I do have a question about the change we made. So since you implemented .env, are we going to be able to? How would that impact if we, like, let's say, package this application up into Docker, and then am I able to set some, OS related environment variables, and then this app will pick that up, or are you configuring those secrets inside of this application for now? I mean, it's fine either way. I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think if we package that application in a Docker container, I don't know if the Docker container will have access to environment variables outside that Docker container.
Well, no, what you would do is you would create when you run the container at runtime, you set those environment variables.
Right.
So in the Docker run command. Anyway, yeah, I'm just asking because will this work will this run in this condition with, if we like later on we want to package it?
Yeah. So what .env does is just takes whatever environment variables. So if we set the environment variables in the Docker image before we even package it, then .env has access to those environment variables.
That's fine. So just remind me what those are, because we're gonna in our
I
attempt
will
to package that. Yeah, we need to
those,
at a minimum.
to you
We could set them up in CI/CD and then in the Docker build process. Anyway,
right? Yeah.
Keep those available for us.
100%. Yeah,
All right,
we'll
brother.
do. Okay, so for adding a unit test, that would take us maybe like a quick 5 minutes to add unit tests. Shall we go ahead and add the quick unit test in there?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of testing, obviously, right? Like you need to make sure that when you write code, the stuff actually works, so it doesn't take a shit on you down the road, right?
Right.
Folks that I've been in this business a long time, and at the end of the day, when you're not testing your code, that's when things bite you later down the road. So let's write a quick unit test, because that's the right thing to do.
Beauty. Okay. I'm comfortable with using Jest, so I'm going to install Jest for my unit tests.
Yeah. And what he's doing here with Jest is basically every language has a testing framework, what they call a testing kind of framework. And all that is basically the language knows how to call functions, right? And it's a nice, easy, clean way to create tests. Now, there's a lot of different testing mechanisms and principles out there. I think the one that Jest is using is it behavioral? Was it behavior? BDD? What's that stand for? Behavior driven development. Yeah.
Behavioral
driven development.
Behavior driven development. Yes. Yes.
BDD.
And then there's a TDD. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many different ways, but I think I think that the BDD is more like like how you kind of obviously behavior. So how people use the software instead of test driven, which is like, hey, I'm going to write some tests. Are they broken? Or I'm going to write some tests. They're all going to be broken. And then the idea behiund test driven development is you start fixing those tests by writing code.
Right.
So anyway, we're going to write some quick or you're going to write.
Really let's do a quick test. I updated my package.json to have a start command, so I can just do a node start.
Yeah, that's good.
For this, it would just take the node index, which is pretty cool. So we could just do an npm start. And for the test, we're going to have it to do Jest. So all what we're going to do is an npm test, right? So in the logic of my application, I am processing. So like I would say the bulk of the process, the logic is over here, where I'm taking a stream and I'm processing it. So what I could do is, instead of taking this stream, I could say that my new object equals, I'm going to create a processor dot process.
And don't you love the autocompletes?
Oh, I love autocompletes.
It makes it sound like a robot, right? When you're
process. Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to take this kind of logic from my main app. I created a processor.js file, and in the processor.js, what I'm going to do is I created a function called process that literally returns what we calculated. This is our calculations, basically. Nice. And I want to make sure that I have this process in my index.js. So at the top over here, so all what I've got to do is under my MQTT. So we want to get the processor equals require from processor. There you go. Okay, so what I did over here is I took the function, the process function from my processor file over here. I added it into a variable called process, and I accessed the process function here and to create a new file. That's it. So I didn't really need this component, and now we could easily do a unit test. Before I jump into testing, I just want to make sure that the actual file is like this worked out. So all I want to do is console log new object. New object.
So basically, what you're doing is building a static kind of object, right? To verify against when we write the test.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that my processing actually works. Oops, don't do an npm test. So I'm gonna do an npm start. So my npm start works because I updated my package.json.
Right.
What's happening right here is I want to see if the split of the logic, the functionality, actually worked. So every time now I receive something, I should process this stream of data. So there you go.
Oh,
this is my new object. Yeah. So like it's the clean object that only has state and the % positive and % negative. So sweet. Now this split to make it worked, which is fantastic.
Very impressive. You've written that in like, you know, tops what 40-something minutes. That's pretty cool, man.
And like you have it up and running. Now let's do our tests with this. So very simple. I'm gonna come here, create a new file, and the file I'm gonna call it a processor.test.js. And in my processor.test.js, I have it ready. I'm just going to copy paste it. This is only
just pre-bake it. It's all good.
Pre-bake it. So it's a very basic test. What I do is I have a raw and an expected, and what I want is to test my process function. All what I can do right now is because since I updated my package.json to have an npm test, all I can do is npm test. What npm test does is it takes the file, boom, runs the unit test. So now you have an application that could be built using npm install, and you install the your dependencies. You could test it, and you could run it using npm test and npm start. So here you go. We have an app fully functioning, up and ready. All this in here. So what I'm gonna do is commit all this, put it to the same GitHub repo for you to take. So before I jump forward, I'm gonna come back to the stream, to the actual screen and chat with you. So far, does it make sense?
Yeah, for me it does. I'm pretty impressed that, you know, we were able to, you were able from scratch. I know I would have done a lot of pre-baking, right? Like when, you know, those cooking shows, like they show you a little bit about how they build it, and then 5 minutes later there's a whole baked pie or whatever, right? So that's my style, but this is awesome. I can't code. I used to be as fast as you back in the day, but I'm a little older than you. And I don't have the energy or the brain power that I used to. But yeah, this is pretty impressive. So I'm gonna give you a clap, everybody.
Thank you
for Tamimi here. But I think so. One of the points I wanted to make, now that we've got the application up and running, you got some tests, which are awesome. I think we've dotted all the I's and T's and crossed the T's when it comes to actually, you know, software development. So I'm old school, you know, I believe in writing, you know, software and then writing tests, which we have. Now, if for those of you that are online here, you saw Tamimi do a lot of manual things, hopping between windows and stuff, right? And that's the normal development process, right? We're developers, we're constantly hopping around screens.
Constant logging.
When you're running those tests, you see a lot of time was consumed by him, you know, just testing, verifying. What we can do is, right, and he added emojis. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, we have a Mr. Mark Di Pasquale. Anyway, so basically what CI/CD. So let's talk about CI/CD, right? As a developer, your workflow is, right, you were pretty much during that whole hour on your laptop or on
the screen to you and I as we chat,
right? And what you were doing there, again, was hopping between things, doing a lot of manual kind of things, right? So that's all well and good, right? Because when you're writing code, you want to make sure that's super tight, at least, you know, make it look good. And obviously, when you're on development teams, if you're on my development team, we definitely have standards like coding styles and stuff like that. I'm not too rigid, but, you know, something that's uniform so that the code looks the same, and the patterns are the same, so that people get used to that on your team. Now, with CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery, what that does is it gives you a layer of automation, right? So now that Tamimi has a pretty solid application, we're going to go ahead and commit it since we're all using version control. And if you're not, you're probably not in the right business. But today's version control kind of flavor of the industry is Git, right? GIT. And what we're going to do is we're going to publish this. So we already had a repo on GitHub. Tamimi, would you mind? You know, maybe you have it in a branch. I'm assuming, right?
Here it was also my master branch.
Oh, you already pushed it up?
I already pushed it. Yeah, I just put it. I commit it,
so,
and I put it on.
If you were working on my team, you'd get a red fail build sticker. And the reason is, you know, you should be working in feature branches, of course, right? Never push to master, but that's okay. We're gonna go with it. And what we're gonna do though now is we're gonna automate like from now on. So since Tamimi pushed up the code, right? We're gonna automate running things against that code. So with CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery, what we're gonna do is basically establish the pipeline and all the trimmings that go with that, and we're going to use CircleCI to do that. So
sorry, Angel, to cut you off, but shall I put this on a branch and revert this commit?
No.
You're good?
We're good, man.
Okay,
I'll pull it into a branch. So
awesome.
You're ready to go then, right?
I'm ready.
Code?
Yeah.
Right.
So my code runs and tests.
Right. So what we're going to do now is, I guess I'm going to switch to my screen. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to remove you, and hey,
Sweet.
there's two of us.
There we are.
And yeah, so
before we continue, is there any questions from people so far on the channel? And if there are any questions, as Angel is taking over, I'll be reading the comments right now. So Angel, I'll be supporting you with the questions. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to type it in the chat channel. And Angel, back to you.
Yeah, no worries. We'll tag team it. All right. So let me share my screen. I guess I'm sharing. Oh, okay. Cool. So let me jump over to so yeah, I've already connected to Kubernetes. I use an editor called Sublime. I'm a little old school, like I said. I do use Visual Studio Code occasionally, but so what we're gonna do is first, let's see. I have let's see. So I'm gonna check out the master branch. Well, if I type correctly, I'm not as great as the awesome Tamimi here, but we're gonna do a master. Okay, doesn't want to play today. Am I in the right even? Oh wow! Oh, I'm not even. Okay, my bad. I'm not even in the project.
Clone it?
There you go. I got it. Yeah. No. I just I'm in the wrong headspace again. Here we go. All right. So all right. Cool. So what I'm gonna do is I want to basically I want to create a branch. Let's just do a Git.
You want to get fetch it first, or just create a Git branch?
Oh right, yeah, you're right. I need to pull it in, right? Yeah. Let me do a pull.
Git pull, yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Perfect.
Well, that's okay. Let me do we don't need that JSON file, right?
Yeah, so if you could maybe you could just do a git reset hard to origin master. Yeah.
Just to get it out of the way. Is it capital, right? Or
no, so you just do -- hard.
Oh, I thought that's head.
And then
I'm sorry.
yeah, and then origin master.
Yeah, but I need to get rid of that package file. So let me just get rid of that. Where is it? What is it called? Package lock, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So get rid of that, and then I can do a git pull. And that should take care of that error. Yeah, okay,
perfect.
Cool.
All right, now you have the code over here.
Yeah, now I got everything I need, and then I want to do a. I generally like to do this, and it's probably like I don't want to say lazy way, but where is my? Oh, right. So let me do a. Sorry.
No worries.
Let me do a new control new. And bring over a new browser. So I generally like to do where are we? Kubernetes. Yeah, down here. I generally like to do my branches in upstream. It's just on GitHub.
Right.
It's just for me, and then pull them down. So I already have one there. But what I'm going to do is just call this CI CD branch, right? For now.
Right.
And then, yeah. Oh, not CI/CI, CC, a CC branch.
CC branch.
Yeah. All right.
So
cool.
that's kind of like a convention that
you go back, and then you can do a git pull, and then it should. Well, of course. What
Giddy
happened now?
Jedi.
DCI.
Yeah.
Of course. So now I have my branch, and I can do a git checkout of CI/CD branch. Cool. So now I have all of Tamimi's code in my system,
right,
which is great. So now I'm just going to get rid of this for now. We don't really need it. Well, I guess we do, because what I want to do here is I'm going to do a CircleCI configuration. All right. So first thing we need to do is let's jump into CircleCI. So if you're new to CircleCI and you don't know how to connect your GitHub repo and the code that Tamimi wrote and CircleCI, this is how you do it, right? So first things first, we're going to go to CircleCI.com, which is the company that I work for and represent. It's an awesome company, by the way. So I'm going to go to the app, right? Normally, this would ask you to sign in. And when you do that, all you would do is use your GitHub account or your Bitbucket, right? We support 2 version control platforms. Now, CircleCI, real quick, is basically what we do is we offer up automation, right? And we do it in a controlled manner so that developers don't have to worry about managing infrastructure, right? So if you're running if you're running your own CI/CD platforms, then you would have to manage the servers, you would have to install the software, you would have to worry about security, patching, networking, right? All of that stuff that nobody really wants to do as a developer. So what we do is we offer up all this compute, and then you control it using YAML and specification that we call a configuration file. And I'm going to show you how to wire this all up so that you can automate these things. Now, what CircleCI will do is once we connect it, let me just pick, I think we're using Datapunks, right? Yeah, that's my my hacker GitHub organization.
Amazing.
So it's what I use when I go to hackathons and stuff. It's pretty cool, right? So this is the UI. So I said, all right, I'm going to use this Datapunks organization, and here's the project that Tamimi had basically pushed up code to in GitHub, right? So it's the Kubernetes project,
right?
And what this is doing is the reason why it knows is because I said, again, I associated within CircleCI, I associated my GitHub account and CircleCI. So now CircleCI is authorized to view and take action on some of my repos, right? And in this stage here, what we're doing is saying, all right, this Kubernetes project, we need to set it up. And all that's doing is telling CircleCI to start monitoring that repository for changes. Any kind of code changes, right? So if we're doing a git push upstream, right? So you're committing locally and then you're pushing up to GitHub, this will trigger a CircleCI pipeline build or what we call a pipeline.
So just by clicking on the setup project.
What was that? Say again?
Just by clicking on the setup project.
Yeah, setup project, right? So this is kind of the initial process to establish, to tell CircleCI, I want to build, right? So I'm going to pick Node since, Tamimi's project is Node. But we're going to say start building. And here, right, this asks you for a configuration file. Now, this configuration YAML, right, is basically, and actually, let me just, well, we're going to do it manually. But basically what this is the instructions for when code changes, basically, right? So what you do is you want to build it. Maybe you need to compile a binary.
Right.
And then you want to test that binary, or you can run those unit tests that you just wrote, right? So that's basically what the gist of what CircleCI is all about. And the cool thing is, right, it's all done through the developer experience. So you don't have to change your behavior as a developer, right, to get this automation and to get that feedback. So what we're talking about is feedback loops here. Now, feedback loops are basically telling you if the automation rate runs through your tests and everything's cool, then you know that your application, you have a good confidence level that the application's been tested it's operating as you expected, and it can move down your pipeline, meaning it could be deployed to like a staging environment or a QA environment, right? So people can actually make sure that the code you wrote won't break anything down the road, right? And you can do pretty much anything you want to do on your laptop, right? To test this application, you can automate it. So it makes it really, really fast for folks to just be able to say, all right, I'm chasing code, I've committed it, I'm pushing it up. CircleCI is going to run this configuration. And then what we're looking for are failures, right? So at the end of the day, if you get no failures, you should just continue processing or developing your code, right? I always like to say, handle the exceptions, and the exception is a failure, right? So something that's out of the norm, right, or something unexpected. So let's go ahead and I'm going to let's see. So have you added? I have not added. So I generally, when I'm setting up a project, I'm just going to start building. This will fail, and the reason is I have not added this configuration file. To the repository or to the project yet. So I'm expecting a failure here, and that's totally fine, right? I know at CircleCI we try to tell people, first 3 pushes should be a pass, but that's okay. I'm not going to operate that way. We're gonna do this the old way. So there's a failure, right? Remember when I was saying, hey, deal with the exceptions? I intentionally made it fail because I wanted to show an exception in CircleCI. And here's what just looking at the details. I think
you want to zoom in a bit.
It's a little bit slow because of all the streaming stuff happening on my computer. But basically, you see what happened here. CircleCI ran my build, and there's a configuration problem, right? And it's saying like the configuration was right. So no configuration file was found in the project, right? And it's a nice little message to go to the docs and go RTFM, right? So what we're going to do, all right, so now that we've established that this is our pipeline, right? And by the way, if you see here, right, you can see that that was against the master branch. That I created this, I set it up against the master branch. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to add the configuration file to the project. So you've seen me establish and set up this this project to CircleCI, and now CircleCI is constantly watching my GitHub repo, right, for changes. And again, the changes that it's looking for are going to be the basically the pushes upstream, right, commits and stuff that you push.
We have a question on the stream. What does RTFM mean?
on the channel. I'm not gonna.
All right. Go ahead.
It means read the effing manual. How's that?
There you go. Give it a zoom in, by the way.
Get me in trouble with it. Even though we got a good relationship, but I don't want to get an earful later. So right. So let's go back to. Thanks for throwing me off there. That was my piece, right? Like, thanks, guys.
You want to zoom in, by the way?
With that?
Zoom in a bit.
Oh, on this? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Good.
We're good. All right. Cool. So so we need to do. I want to do a touch. Well, let's do this first. In order for you to, if you looked at the instruction, it's looking for. We kind of skipped over it, but anyway, it was telling you to create a .circleci folder, right? So let's go ahead and do that first. So that's where CircleCI looks for configuration files. So let's do a make directory, right? I like to do this old school. So then we're going to do a .circleci. Now this needs to be spelled correctly. So if you're a shitty speller or typist like me, don't make sure that it's correct. So what I'm going to do here now is, since I have the folder now, I'm going to do a touch, right? And touch is basically going to make a file for me. And then I'm going to call it config.yml, which is what CircleCI is looking for as well, right? So the configuration.yml. Now I can go over here and my file is created, and it's a blank file, right? So we can get rid of this for now. We'll come back if we need it. So now I have a blank file, config.yaml. Now, the first thing you want to do is a version key, right? So we need to tell CircleCI on the back end what version of the platform. So CircleCI is a platform, right?
Right.
And it's just like processing your code. So we have to tell it, I want to use version 2. Now, the reason, or 2.1, the reason why you have the versions, and right now I think we're only supporting, we used to have a version 1, right? And we completely rewrote the platform. And then starting with version 2, we added things like containers. There were some other features like parameterized YAML, which we'll talk about a little bit later, maybe. But basically, the first step in your configuration file should be a version label. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at creating. I generally like to create. So when you're designing CI/CD pipelines, right?
Right.
You have to think of these things as kind of jobs in a sense, right? And a job is basically a grouping of related commands, right? So let's take, for instance, the command for maybe installing dependencies, right? So the first thing in Node, when you have to set up an environment. Actually, let's take a step back. So the first thing in environments are what we call executors in CircleCI, and they can also be referenced as runtimes. So there's 4 different types of runtimes or executors that we have in CircleCI, and that's where your code is actually going to run in, right? And what we're going to use today is Docker, but we have 4 different ones, which is Docker, which is container based, right? And then we have Mac OS, iOS. So we have a Mac OS runner or executor, so that folks can run, their iOS applications or Xcode or whatever they need to do to build and then test their code. And then we have also what we call a virtual machine, a machine type. And that is basically where you just basically get the whole host, right? Or a virtual machine to run your builds on. And those generally tend to be Linux machines, right? So those are more for folks who are doing like some of our customers are doing AI type functions, right? And then GPU processing. So those machines, right? VMs, they would definitely use a VM. You wouldn't be able to do that. So if you need a little bit of more horsepower, you use the machine executor, what we call machine executor. And then we have the final one that we just recently added is the Windows executor for our Windows folks. So now CircleCI supports those 4 major runtimes to process code. Now, the first thing we're going to do though is when I'm designing pipelines, right? I like to break things down into kind of what I call jobs, or what we call jobs. So I'm sorry?
Yeah. Continue.
Oh, sorry. So one of the things that we're going to talk about first is let's create what I call what CircleCI calls a workflow. A workflow is a way to orchestrate a bunch of jobs, right? So we're going to call this workflows, right? And then this is YAML, by the way. So for those of you that are not familiar, YAML is just data structure. So similar to, in concept, to JSON, right? Or like a CSV file, but it's more declarative, right? So you can actually, unlike JSON, you can actually put comments in YAML. Right? It's more of like an English reading, language type.
Like a markdown language.
Yeah. But it's definitely it's not I hate it when people say it's a language. It's a data structure that's very declarative, right? And not that I don't hate you, Tamimi, but I'm just saying when folks use that, it kind of gets under my skin because it starts confusing a bunch of folks, right?
Thanks, Angel.
Yeah, it's all good. So we have what I'm doing here is creating a label. So I've established that I'm going to create workflows, right? And a workflow is a way to aggregate a bunch of actions that we call jobs, right? And I'll build the jobs out later. So I'm starting I'm the type of developer, like I like to work my way backwards from problems. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm kind of reverse engineering this a little bit. Normally people would start writing jobs and then they worry about the workflow orchestration later. I like to do it the other way. So let me start writing my workflows, right? And then what we're going to do is call this build, test, and let's just say deploy. I hope we can get there, but we'll see what happens.
Cool.
And then from there, we're going to do, so what I've just created with this build, test, deploy is basically a label for my workflow, right? So I created a new workflow, and it's called build, test, deploy. And that's the way I would reference it later on, right? Throughout this, this process. And then within a workflow, though, you need to have jobs. So we have to create a list, right? And this is a list in YAML. One thing about YAML, you need to be careful with the spacing indentation. Because this
gets me every single time.
It's funny, but if you have a modern IDE like Sublime or Code or whatever you use, it should indent for you automatically and should be good to go. They just need to be aligned, right? If they're not aligned, then it will take a shit on you and really be mad at you. So all right, so let's do the first job, which I want to do a test. I want to make sure that we're going to run our tests. So let's call it run test, right? Now here I've defined my workflow, right? So now let's define what we're gonna do now is we've defined that a workflow, we defined that a job, right? Now this run test is a list of things, right? Or I'm sorry, is a job that doesn't exist yet. I'm going to create that now. So with CircleCI, you have your version. Now we created our workflow, and now we need to create a jobs list, right? And from here this is where again I'm going to define now that run test job in my workflow. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. So now that I've defined my first job, which is called run test, I needed to run somewhere, right? I needed to run in a container or in a runtime. What I'm going to use is Docker, right? Because and we don't really need a lot of horsepower, and it's not one of those Mac apps, right? So let's go ahead and do Docker. And when you specify you're going to use a Docker executor, right, as your runtime, we're going to then tell it we need a Docker image to basically to pull, right? And you know what? I'm just gonna do a little bit of cut and paste. I do have some stuff, just in the interest of time, because this takes a bit. So what I'm gonna do is paste the actual image. So CircleCI has these things called convenience images, and they basically are the stable official images from Node. And what we do is we extend them, and then we just add like a CircleCI.
You install whatever, like
we make them kind of formatted so that they'll operate more. They're actually optimized, so they'll run fast. And then also we install tools that people use, like kind of development tools, right? So like I think maybe Jest might be on there. There's a bunch of things that are pre-baked.
So it's just pre-baked. It comes like pre-packaged.
The idea is to run fast, right? To make these things work really, really fast, because you want that fast feedback loop so that you know if your app is broken or not, right? So the next thing is we're going to add is steps, right? So we've basically defined our job. We've defined the executor, or the runtime that we're going to run our code on, and now steps is a list of commands that we're going to execute, right? Inside of this job, this run test job. So the first thing you want to do, obviously, right, is what would you do? Like, so what's the first thing you need to do, at least in this, if you're going to test code? What's the first thing you need to do?
Well, I want to install my dependencies.
First you want to install your code, right?
Install my code. That's true. Yes. So, okay. I want to get my code. So
what you're going to do is a checkout command. This is an alias to git clone. So what the system is, right, has access to your GitHub, and CircleCI, when you use this checkout command, all it does is a specific clone, right? Now you could do a run command, in which I'm going to show you in a minute, and then do a git checkout and do all that stuff, and you be whatever, fancy. If sometimes people have different kind of checkout methods or git module, sub git modules and stuff like that. We don't have that, so we're just going to go with the standard alias. We got our code. Next, we're going to do a run command, right? So we're going to do basically a run block. I call these run blocks. And what this run block here is, we're going to name it, right? We're going to say, this is just a label, by the way. And then we're going to call this install npm. Let's say it's, npm. Is that right? Yeah, npm.
Yeah, npm.
And then we're just going to say deps for now, right?
All the dependencies we want to do.
And then from here, what we're going to do is, now that you have a name, and I'll show you what that name does later. It's just the next way in the UI, right? So as your
descriptive,
job
like it'll be kind of like a description for the job that runs.
exactly. It's going to be a
Right.
step, right, in your
Right.
job.
Yeah.
So the next step I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and oh, that's ugly. But basically, let's see if I can fix it. No, that's all right.
Like,
Let's try this. Let's try it this
shift
way.
tab it.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's just I got to just go home with it and then.
Yeah.
All right, this is fine. And then shift tab. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Perfect.
Well, all right. So basically, what's happening here is, yeah, right. Oh wow, that didn't end well. All right. Oof. All right, there you go. That now it's formatted. All right,
okay,
cool. So now we have a command, right? So actually, this is all wrong here, and let me fix that. There you go. That's what it should look like. And then one more over. There you go. So what we've done here is, and you know what? We don't even need that. We can just do one of these.
Yeah, just because we're running only one command.
Yeah, it's only one command. So what I did was I had a pipe in there, and that gives you the multi-line. Which you'll see later on, I do have that. But basically, what we're doing here is saying, all right, let's install our dependencies. So what you said earlier to Mimi was correct, except that we didn't have any code to install, right?
Right. So first of all, you check out your code, you install the dependencies needed.
Right? It's all good. And then now we're going to go ahead and then, so now that we have that, I'm going to go and just, like I said, for expedience, I'm going to grab the next, the command, which is what would it be, Tamimi?
Well, now that I've installed it, I could run it then.
Well, you would test it, right?
Test it first. Yeah, you're right. before I run it, I gotta test it.
Yeah, no worries, man. And by the way, I'm not picking on you. Just trying to.
I know. Yeah.
Trying to get you to be interactive. I know you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I know. All good.
So yeah. So now we have pretty much. I think the underpinnings of our first job. So I think we should. What do you think? Should we commit this?
I think this is good. Like, let's go ahead and commit it. Let's see how CircleCI would take this, like with installation and testing.
So I'm going to save this, right? And then I'm going to bring up my my terminal again, so we can
literally, Angel, like all what you did is you created a directory called .circleci, and in it you did a config.yaml, and you just specified that configuration in here.
That's right. I started the configuration now.
All right, I'm actually excited. Let's check it out.
Right. So what's happening here is, just so everybody knows, when I push this upstream, CircleCI is going to say, all right, let's run this workflow. Is there a workflow? Yes. It's going to run build, test, deploy workflow. And then it's going to check for my jobs, and it's going to say, all right, what's the list of jobs in here? It's going to go first, right, and run my run test.
Yeah.
Right? Real simple. And this should be really, really quick. So let's go ahead and do a git commit or a git status.
Git.
Git. It's Grand Theft something, right? So it's git status, right? I told you, man, I'm the worst when it comes to
no worries.
So I haven't added this yet, so I'm going to do a git add. Bro, today is not the day. Let's do a git add.
It's all right.
Yeah, did you see that?
I did.
I'm gonna hear it from my mother. No, just kidding. So let's do a git status. Now that we've staged the file. Now we need to go ahead and commit it. So let's do a git commit, and then we're gonna do .circleci. We'll just do the whole folder. Well, we could do the whole file. What the hell? Because that'll take everything in. And then from there, we need to do a message, right? And a lowercase m, and then we're gonna say initial CICD, or CICD,
right?
CICD D config.
Config. There you go.
All right, and then so now we have everything committed. Now the magic starts to happen, right? So
I'm actually curious.
I'm gonna kick off my CICD build when I push up. So let me switch over to the system, and it should automatically pick up my change. Oh wait, all branches, right? Because I'm doing this on a different branch. There you go.
There you go. Okay, interesting.
Up my builds, right? And as you can see here, I'm going to click into the pipeline. The pipeline is the overall object in CircleCI. So it's like the highest level.
Yeah,
And
yeah. From a scope perspective, it's like the highest.
Yeah, in the pipeline, pipelines have workflows. So there you go. This is if you look here, right, the build, test, deploy workflow.
Yeah.
Right, that we were looking at. And here's the branch, CI/CD branch, right, for Kubernetes. And here's my commit. So you can click in here and you can see that.
You see console logs, like what happened.
Yeah, exactly. You could see pretty much everything that happened that we automated in this file, right? So
from installing to running the unit test, like from checking out to installing to running the unit test.
So here's some of the cool things, right? So again, if you were doing like a Mac OS or something, this would say Mac OS, and the host that we're using is basically a 2 CPU and 4 GB of RAM.
Right.
Excuse me. And basically, yeah. So if you look real quick, it just spins up an environment. So this is what the back end does, right? Processes that config file and then spins up environments, prepares environment variables. See, there's some pretty cool stuff. So if you ever needed to figure out, like, see, it gives you the branch. These are all environment variables.
That's pretty cool. So I can use these environment variables in my job.
Exactly.
Later.
That's why I was asking you earlier about those builds, right?
Environment variables. Yeah.
Because we could wire those up as well, which I'm going to show you later. Now let's see. Wow, we don't have that much time left. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can go longer if you want to go longer. It's up to you.
I mean, I'm good. Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we got run unit tests, right? So basically, what we did here. Remember those two jobs from here?
Yeah.
Which was install npm deps, right? If you look here, we have install npm dependencies, and that basically just does that. It does that command. Right, we execute that command, and we've got an exit code 0, which means everything was nominal, right? Everything was cool. If we would have got an exit code 1 because there would have been an error or something, then we would have had a failure here, right?
Right.
Anyway, so we ran our unit test, right? So now, every time you push up code with that configuration, it will automatically run that unit test. And you know what? It looks really nice because you passed, which we built a happy path, right, to do this. But at the end of the day, it's pretty cool that this ran and now you have tests, right?
Right.
So let's go back, and that's great that, we could test our code every time, but let's add it and make it more robust, right? Like, let's say you've now created your test, right?
Yeah.
And we want to create now maybe a Docker image from this application. So we're, obviously you would, if you were in a more outside of a demo setting like this, you would run probably a lot more robust testing, more steps in your testing, integration testing, performance testing, maybe
different levels, different levels of testing.
Yeah,
but I think it's just like the idea of like you build on this.
This is great, right? We're going to publish that bad boy. So the next step would be, let's say we're going to package up a Docker, or we want to package this application into a Docker container, right? So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So what I'm going to do here is basically pre-bake, right?
Okay, sweet. Nice.
And let me knock this down a little bit because we don't really need it right now. And basically what I'm doing here, right, is saying, okay, I have this this new job, right? It's in the job list, and it's on the same level if you look up as run test, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you know it's kind of, a new job.
It's a different job, yeah.
Right. If it's on the same level, that's what I was saying about YAML earlier. Now, we're going to call this build a Docker image, right?
Cool.
And what we're going to do is, so in order to do that, Docker is a single process environment, right? Meaning you can only run basically one process at a time. So in order to get past that, right? So a lot of folks are like, wow, how do you build a Docker container from a Docker container? That's one of the cool things about CircleCI is, we have this concept of running what we call a remote Docker. So what we do is what I call a sidecar kind of connection.
That's actually very cool.
A new Docker container that has all of the clients on board, right? So without this remote Docker setup, you could still do it within the build, within this Docker image, but you would have to install the client and all that stuff, right?
Right. See, I think this is very cool because I know I previously told you about this. I've used other in previous experiences. I've used other pipelining technologies that interacting with Dockers within Docker was such a pain. In the butt. So having something very simple like this actually makes a huge difference for sure. Because previously I had to do like a lot of hacks, a lot of workarounds. We're using other CI/CD technologies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So so we have this Docker remote set up. So again, because I'm building a Docker image, I'm going to set up a Docker remote. This is a really cool feature that it's more of a premium, I guess, paid feature where it just speeds things up, right? So Docker layer caching, the way Docker works is when you create images, it layers, and we'll get into the Docker file, which I need to bring over. But basically, it layers every time you do a run command in your system, so that you can kind of break your build of your application into a more streamlined manner. So the idea is it'll cache all of that, and then anything that changes, it'll just replace those bits, right? So it's a way to build things quicker and faster, right? Without having to damage or reliably build things quicker. I think that's a better statement. All right, now I got my Docker remote Docker step. What I'm going to do next is the actual command, the run block for building this.
Yeah, I'm actually intrigued.
A little bit of grease. So let's go ahead and get this put to the test here. Well, I'm struggling with this one command here, this keyboard. All right, that's okay. So I have this run command, right, that I just kind of pre-baked. Now, let's take a look again, right? I'm just labeling it as a build, right? Build the image. And then I have a multi-line, right? Unlike the ones that we had up here, single line. When you want to do multi-line, you have to stick a pipe in the YAML after the command key. And then you can start doing things like this, right? So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm creating some environment variables within Docker. Now, what I'm doing here is basically creating, when you do a Docker image, you have to name it a certain way, right? The fact that we're going to upload this image when it's built to a registry on what we call Docker Hub. So let me bring that up real quick because I want to show that. What Docker Hub is basically like a public container registry, meaning you can create things and use them and share them with everyone through Docker Hub. They also have like private offerings and stuff like that. But we're going to use the public offering because who cares, right? Like this is just a demo. And I'm logging into my account. Now, the reason why I need to log in is I have an account and it's under A Rivera, and all my images are there. So anytime I do work, I always try to make it public, especially if I'm doing demos like this, so folks can grab that information.
And they could go ahead and just install like whatever information they want, like images they want.
Yeah. So basically, here's a Kubernetes attempt. This is something I was messing around with earlier, but for the most part, you can see already I kind of built something. But this is what Docker Hub does, and if we click into, let's look at the one I was messing with last night for NodeJS CircleCI. Basically, these are just images. But I package up the application into this Docker container, and then I can deploy it to something like Kubernetes or any kind of Docker runtime, actually, right? So you can use Docker, Docker Compose?
Docker Compose, to like set up.
Docker Swarm is what I was after. Okay. So we have Docker Hub, right? The problem is if we go back to the code, is number one, I need to name it a certain way. So if we go back, right, you see all these cool little names here, right? These minor tags, right? These are called tags. So literally, that's what I'm building is that bit here. And if you see this funky pipeline number, what that represents is an environment variable from the CircleCI platform. So I'm tying it to a build. So let's go look at the platform.
Okay. I see what you're saying. And
let's go to, I guess, this guy.
And every build has some metadata associated with that particular build.
Right. So CircleCI, the pipeline, remember what I said was the highest level object, right?
Right.
So that's where I'm using the pipeline number, so that it's as an ID, so I can tie that back to a build, right, later on.
Right.
So there it is, pipeline number 2, right? That number right there, the pipeline number represents this here, pipeline.number, right?
Okay, so this is how you can have unique names for your tags.
Exactly.
Right.
So I can tag that, right, to a specific pipeline build in the CircleCI system. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, it makes total sense. So that down the road, when someone wants to get, for example, an image for a particular build, so let's say they want to go back for a previous build, so like, it's part of the tag name.
Yeah. And then the next step here I'm building is the image name, right? So then I'm saying here is, all right, I've got the image name equal to the CircleCI project name repo, which is what? Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Kubernetes, right?
Kubernetes.
And that's based off of those environment variables that I had shown you earlier in this system.
That's actually pretty neat. Like it's very handy. It gives you access to a lot of like environment variables that you can reuse and to make to streamline the process.
Yeah, I'm having an issue today. I don't know what my computer's acting up, but it must be all the cool stuff I'm running, or it must be my connection. Anyway, so a coworker of mine has the Google Fiber. He's loving it, and he's always sticking it in my face, throwing like things up so fast. I'm like, yeah,
oh, man.
Google Fiber's not in my neighborhood, but I'm gonna get it to when it comes out. All right, so yeah, so basically the project, what was it? Yeah, project repo name right here, right? So that's what this is here. And the final thing here, though, to put all together, right? So now we have the environment variables all set up. We got a build command. So this is just the Docker client, right? Standard build.
Right.
This T is how you would name a
you would tag it,
Docker
right?
image, right? And it's a tag. The T stands for tag. The reason why you would use this is otherwise you could run it without it, but then Docker will assign it some funky name, right?
Right.
Which you don't want because you're not going to be able to identify it. And the reason why I'm using like these, okay, yeah. So the Docker tag, this here doesn't exist anywhere, right? These are environment variables that I'm going to create in the next session or in the next section right now. But basically, let's go ahead and create those. They don't exist in the platform. These are my own secrets, right? So these are going to be my credentials to Dockerize. And we need that so that we can push our image, right? So if you look at the next line, right, this Docker PWD, which is my password. And by the way, this is a way that you can kind of do a placeholder for sensitive data. So if you don't, if you have credentials or tokens and stuff like that, you need to access that CircleCI needs to access things. You would protect those and put them into a project. So let's go ahead and do a project change, right? So I'm going to add environment variables. Those environment variables in my project. So and the way you would do it is, like again, you click on that project cog up top, and then you would be put to this page, and then from here, you just go and add an environment variable, and then you just say, Docker login.
Which is the same environment variable that you use in your file. Yeah.
Right. And then you assign it a value, which is my username, right?
All right.
Now, I'm going to take my screen off for a moment. Well, when I put my password in, because I don't want to share that. It's real. And then
and I will warn you if it's not, if your screen is not on. All right.
Did I take it out?
Yeah, it's out.
All right, cool. Yeah. So now I can safely type my password.
Right. So just to like reiterate what you did is you're setting new environment variables so that when your build pipeline runs, it has a preset environment variables that adds it, the ones that you're putting together.
That's correct.
Right. No, that's pretty cool.
You know what? We're going to be using that a little bit more later. So I'm just gonna duplicate this. And leave that up, the environment variable bit up.
Right.
Because we are going to be using it. So now that I've established these secrets, and all right, let me bring my screen back.
Right.
So now that I've established my secrets, right? I put my environment variables in, right? I have Docker login, Docker password. We're going to jump back over to let's just go back to the actual pipeline. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to make some changes to the code. So again, what I've done is I've created, right? So in tagging, I use my Docker login because Docker Hub needs to know who's uploading, right? And the image, this is my account. And then the image name is going to be the repo name, which is Kubernetes, right? And the reason why I have 2 tags here, if you noticed, right? Remember so the way Docker works is it has.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, why do you have 2 tags in there?
This one here that I have highlighted is basically what they call the latest tag. So whenever you push up, it just overwrites, unless you put a distinguisher, right? It will overwrite that tag.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So there's always Docker latest, and I'll show you that in a minute. But there's always latest, and then the build number, right? So remember with the tag environment variable, this should be unique based off of these builds, right?
Right.
Because the automation is incrementing that pipeline number every time, I used the pipeline number as my tag to make it different. Now, if I were to manually build this and say, hey, use number 2, then I could do that. Then you would just kind of defeat the purpose. You could also use, like, I usually use the commit SHA too, because that's where you as well.
Yeah.
I read, right? Like, who the hell wants to read that crap?
Right. Yeah. I usually see that a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, but you could have a third one that does it as well.
Oh, okay. So you could just pass another -d that, like,
a lot of folks do that as well. But we're not going to do
that. Right.
So the next step is the Docker client has to log in, and this is the way that Docker tells you how to automate a login.
Right.
And then once you have that session open with that login, then you can run the final command, which is pushing up the Docker login or the Docker image, right?
The Docker image that you built.
That we have here is using the latest one, and the reason is you can submit the latest, right? The latest tag, and it will make all the other tags with it. You follow?
Right.
If I were
Yeah.
This one, then you wouldn't see the latest. It would be the latest would be like a different version.
Okay, so this is by default. It just pushes the latest and all the other tags.
Right. So when you're doing this, you definitely want to make sure that you're pushing the latest, because all the other tags will go with it.
Right.
So I think we're ready. I mean, this is pretty much
yeah, but we still don't have our Docker file in there.
And the container now, or the image now, so the pipeline will do everything. Oh wait, I forgot.
We don't have the Docker file.
Critical thing: the Docker file and our workflow. So let's get our workflow straightened out, and then we'll.
Right.
So basically, remember when I said the workflow is what actually gets run, right, and orchestrates the jobs.
Right.
Now we need to tell it the build, test, deploy that we want to run a job, right?
Yeah,
and
which is a build Docker image.
As we're going to call this, what was the name that I called it? Build Docker
image. Yeah.
I even broke my own build pattern because I was pre-baking things. So basically, what I've done here is said, all right, workflow, I need you to run these 2 jobs in this build, test, deploy workflow, right? Run these 2 jobs. Now, they're going to run simultaneously, right?
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and normally people would do things like, so you could do something like, we have this concept of require. So if you wanted to run it.
Oh, like it depends on a particular job before it runs.
Right, yeah. So if you wanted to run it sequentially, you could do that by, setting up a requires key.
Right.
And then from there, you would say like this. It would look like,
so this is like a job verb, for example. Okay, I see what you're saying.
That would create a dependency.
Right.
So if run test passes, then build Docker images will go. So the thing is, well, actually, this is actually wrong too, but you would put the requires under here actually. And then say
it's required, like the name of the job.
And it would require, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to do that because I like to have my pipelines run really, really fast. And by the way, like so what? If you build a Docker image with a busted ass, code, that's okay, right? Like, who cares?
Right.
Just
Right.
don't use it. Or you could do some really cool stuff like flag it or delete it, right? Like later. But right now, I don't care. We know it. We hope it works. Now, the next thing we need to do though is, that's all well and good that we built our Docker build job, but we actually need to give the Docker client the actual file, right?
Right.
So let's go ahead and grab that. I do have one already pre-baked that I'm going to use.
Nice. Don't you just like to when you have stuff that are pre-baked?
Yeah, I mean, these are it's also YAML as well. So let me go ahead and do a touch, and then we're gonna do Docker file. It has to be a capital Docker if you want it to like be in the root, because the client will look for it there. So I created that file. I'm going to paste some pre-baked stuff real quickly in a Docker file. Right, it's saying from node 12. Basically, what that's doing is grabbing, node the official node container, and then I'm extending it. Right, I'm actually grabbing or creating it or configuring it to run this particular application. As you can see here, I'm establishing a work directory that probably already exists. I'm going to copy this JSON package file, and the reason is we need to install the dependencies, right? For Node, and then after that, I'm going to copy the application over, the application files over that it needs, right? And then remember Tamimi's npm start. That's declared there. We are over, but I think I'm down to go for a little longer.
Yeah. Let's. I want to deploy this. I want to see how this be deployed.
Okay. So yeah, let's just plow through it. You got me all excited now, man. I want to get this going.
Yeah, I want to get it up and running.
I want to end it with Kubernetes, like pub subbing, man. Like, Right. So if you need to take a break, brother, go ahead and
I'm good. I was just having a snack.
All right, let's keep going then. All right, so we got that. What we need though, right, is one other thing that we need is a Docker ignore file, and the reason is we don't want to bring over any of the we don't want to commit any local libraries and stuff like that. That's just garbage, and it shouldn't live in the code base, right? Like none of this stuff should be living.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do a
Docker ignore.
Call this. I think it's called Docker ignore. Yeah, and this could be lowercase, right? And it's just like ignore, but for the Docker client, right? So we're gonna do Docker ignore. And then from there, I'm just going to go ahead and open it. And then I got, again, some pre-baked stuff, I think, somewhere around here. Yeah, right here. And a lot of this is similar to the git ignore stuff that that Tamimi has in there. So yeah, I saved it. It should be good to go. The Docker file is good to go. I'm going to save that.
Now we're ready to.
Let me make sure that we have a nice clean workflow. Yeah, that's good. They're going to run concurrent, which is cool. Again, right? We want to, wherever you can optimize, right? Your pipeline is things that, do you really need to have a dependency on something, right? Like especially building, like compiling maybe in different binaries and different architectures, right? Sometimes, you compile for Linux, Windows, whatever. That's where like these, what we call parallelism is really useful. So it's all it is concurrency, right? Running multiple tasks at the same time. All right, so we have that. One other thing I wanted to add, let's make a change to the git ignore, because I wanted to add to the git ignore. I wanted to add the dependency or the blocking of the Terraform stuff as well.
Oh yeah, you're gonna force the lock.
Oh, what's that?
Force no lock one, right?
Oh no. I'm saying like Terraform has a bunch of garbage.
Okay. Yeah.
Things that you don't want pushed up there.
Right.
Let me grab that in my git ignore from my project. I think you and I have the same things.
Yeah.
No, I
I
don't have
didn't
that.
change anything in my git ignore, so you should have the same one.
Yeah, I actually, you know what? I think if I just grab from, yeah, let me just grab it from this. Where's that Docker ignore? I think I have it already in there. So yeah, see all this stuff here? Yeah, we don't, wait, what's a Docker file? Yeah, we don't want that Docker file there. We don't need it to be, well, we do need it, don't we?
Like we need it, but it shouldn't be in the Docker ignore.
Oh yeah, you're right. Man, my bad. Yeah. So I'll just grab all this, and then that's pretty funny, right? It ignores itself.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's go ahead and drop this in. Cool. So maybe that's, you know what, Tamimi? That's probably why. Yeah, that's why.
I think so.
Yeah. No. All right, that makes sense. Now it's making sense why it was failing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man, that's not cool. All right, so cool. All right, well, we were trying to do some testing earlier, and yeah, I borked that one. All right, cool. So now we have that. All right, so let me save this, and I think we're ready for a push upstream. So let's clear the back.
Let's get it. Let's do it.
Yeah, so let's do git status and see what we got. Awesome. So I'm just gonna wait a minute, something's wrong. I am not seeing git ignore. Why not?
Did you add it?
Or Docker ignore is not. No, you know why? I think it's, no, it might be. I might have added it to here, right? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, don't put the Docker ignore in the git ignore.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Actually, I need to not ignore this one too.
So take up the Docker file and the Docker ignore.
Yeah.
File.
Well, you know what we'll do? We'll just do that. How's that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you see it's showing up.
Okay. Now do git status.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
So we need to do an add. So let's do the git add.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm getting frisky today, huh? All right. Oh, I got this mechanical keyword. I still haven't gotten used to it, and I've been using it for like 3 years. So all right.
Okay, you're more hip than I am with the mechanical keyboard.
Well, I've been using these mechanical keyboards from back in the day, bro. Like I'm talking serial. You know, like, and those were like, there was no window keys or anything, right? Then they were hard too. Oh. So yeah, I'm familiar with it. And it actually, for a while, I stopped using them, and then I was like missing the noise.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're gonna do a git commit, and then I think it's just -A, right?
Yeah, -A, -M.
Right. I normally don't do this. Normally, I would do it all at once. You know, like at a time to be sure. But since it's we're at a time anyway, so we're just gonna say added Docker bit, right? That's all. Bits, and then that's cool. I think we got it. Now we're going to kick off my pipeline in CircleCI, and we should be able to see this thing build a new version of this application.
I'm excited. Let's go check it out. Okay.
Yeah. No. So no workflow.
You push it to the right.
No, yeah, it's okay. It was the UI. The UI was. So this is actually pretty interesting. Obviously, this UI is you doing some form of message queuing.
Yeah.
So this is actually pretty cool because the UI is looking or constantly communicating with CircleCI and looking for changes as well.
Yeah.
So this kind of fits into the whole.
So I would say this is an event-driven update of the UI.
Hey, somebody's love the busted ass. Thanks. Oh, that was you. Nice.
Anyways,
I was like, "Who's Tammy?" I didn't see the other eye. All right. So yeah. So see, this thing ran concurrently, right? So 28 seconds. Let's jump into our build, Docker build job,
right?
And take a look at what's going on. If we would have linked those two together, we would have had a really nasty dependency, right? And it would have you know, even though it's a few seconds, it would have waited, but all those seconds do start adding up, right? If you
Right.
don't,
Yeah.
it's just like you were saying earlier that you like to do things a specific way, right? Like, or use as many shortcuts as possible.
Right. Yeah. You have your own
Same
shortcut,
concept, right? Like,
yeah. Look at that.
Yeah. So right, it pushed it up. So let's go check Docker Hub, and we can go back to our
added with the tag number.
Yeah, it should be 3, right?
Right.
Tag number 3.
So let's open the tags.
And there it is a few seconds ago. And here's remember the latest and so latest gets overwritten. Like before we did this, there was the latest and then 2.2.
Right.
With this, right, it got overwritten. The latest got overwritten to match these two.
And this is
the way Docker works is if you really wanted to see all of them, I think there's probably a few in here. Yeah, so you could actually see like the SHAs match,
right,
for these two, right? So if we jump into here, there's this SHA will also match the 2.3 one.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. And you can see here, right? Look at all the layers from the Docker file, right?
Right. That's pretty neat. Yeah.
And these layers, by the way, these weren't me, right? These were from the official deployment from the language, right?
Yeah.
So where we took over is here. Remember? So
set up our.
So see, their entry point is this, right? And then we did this bit here, and then we did the work directory. We copied the package JSON, and then we installed the install command, and then we copied the files that we needed, and then we ran then we defined the command start, right? So really simple, and it's layered, right? So these are all layers in the Docker system. All right, cool. So let's jump. So now that any questions? I mean, I don't know how many people are watching.
I'm checking on the live comments. So far, there's no questions.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Okay.
Yeah, no, because like your steps were very detailed. I'd give it to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, so let's go ahead and is my mother still on? I'll cook dinner. Oh, she's gone, I think. Yeah. I'm not sure. No, she's still there.
Amazing.
All right. So let's go ahead and jump on here. So maybe we'll have my mom hack one day on this one.
Yeah, that would actually be a very cool hacking session.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So here we go. So we have the builds there, and now I'm gonna add. Let's get some funky stuff going now. This is I think the good times are gonna happen now. Hopefully, we figured out why the Kubernetes stuff isn't working. All right, great. So now I want to. So that that's great. We deployed to Docker Hub. That's all well and good. But now I want to add a new job to my workflow. Now that we know we have, the builds for the test, we have the build for the Docker image.
Right.
I want to add something to deploy to, right? So what's the point of packaging all of it up if
you packaged it and you want to deploy it somewhere?
Yeah, I want it to run, man. Make sure that this thing.
And I'm so curious to see this working.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So, what we're going to do here is create a Google cluster. So Kubernetes, right? Kubernetes is the new hotness.
Yeah.
Well, it's not so new anymore, but it's pretty much all the rage, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong. What we're trying to do right now is set up a Kubernetes cluster and install or deploy the Docker image that we packaged, and run it, basically do an npm run so that our app is running on a Kubernetes cluster. That's right. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just create a new job where I'm going to call it so Google has a self-hosted or a managed solution for Kubernetes called Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE. So I'm going to create a GKE job, right?
Right.
GKE let's create the cluster.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is just the name I'm giving it, right?
Yeah,
You can call it whatever you want, but I
Right.
like to just use descriptive things so that I know what's going
Makes
on.
sense.
Because as
Yeah.
these pipelines grow in complexity and volume,
Right.
it's really hard to manage. Just like code, right? Like you would like to encapsulate it,
Very
which you can do, by the way. This is a long form. What I'm showing you, there's even better ways to encapsulate a lot of this functionality. But for the demo,
split different files, like could I write this functionality in another file so that?
Yeah, so you could actually use the concept of orbs that we have, which is parameterize the YAML. Right?
Yeah.
And I could actually write some parameters and stuff, but I'm trying to keep it simple for
let's keep it simple, but it's good to know that it's something doable because like
absolutely.
So it's cool.
What I'm going to do next is basically bring all of this into some pre-baked job called GKE Create Cluster, because you know what? Whoa, okay, that didn't work. I thought I got it, but let me try it again. So what I'm going to do here is paste some pre-baked. Some pre-baked. We're going to do some pre-baking here. All right, cool. So yeah, see, I created a new job, GKE Create Cluster, right? It's going to run in parallel because I like to do things fast.
Yeah.
And you know, do optimize pipelines. And what we're going to do here is again define a Docker image. Now, if you noticed, I already have a pre-baked Docker image, right, sitting in Docker Hub.
Yeah.
What this image is basically an image that has the Terraform CLI in it, because we're going to be using HashiCorp's Terraform product. Yeah. So let's talk about infrastructure as code. I think that's a bit that's missing as well, and it's important because obviously it's going to create everything. Mm-hmm. But the way I'm going to create all of this stuff is using infrastructure as code. So if you go to have you ever used infrastructure as code, Tamimi?
Yeah, I've used Terraform and Ansible.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Ansible is another. It's more of a provisioner, configuration compliance tool. Yeah. For running things, but yeah, you could do a lot of the things that Terraform does. So Terraform is basically an open source project, and you can basically use it to define infrastructure, right? So you can codify things instead of going in here, you know, and point and clicking and doing things like in let's bring up my Google Cloud thing as well. So cloud.google.com. It's like a cloud provider, right? So it offers up compute. Again, we're going to be using GKE in this instance. So I'm going to bring all these things up now. So with Terraform, you have to manage your state, right? And when you're managing state, that means once you establish an infrastructure, right? You have to, if you use infrastructure as code to establish an infrastructure, you have to manage that infrastructure within that code, right? Otherwise, you're going to have bits and pieces everywhere, and it's just a nice one-stop shop, right? So a lot of folks, especially operators, SRE types, like to use this stuff, but developers are catching on to this too. Yeah. So before I even do any of that, I'm going to rename these. I already kind of set these up pre-baked, but I'm going to rename them because we were messing around. I was messing around earlier. I'm just going to cut this out
and just call it code.
That way it's all the same, and folks who want to do this. So Terraform has this concept of cloud. You could actually run this, execute the Terraform code in a remote system, which is on their cloud. So literally what we're doing with like CircleCI, for instance, you could do it in their cloud as well. The reason why I don't like doing that is there's just environment variables that my build will need, and they're not available in Terraform's environment, right? You see what I'm saying? So
I see what you're saying. Sorry, I was muted.
So I'm gonna set these to local. Yeah. And then I'm going to go back to my workspaces, and then I'm going to change this one. And the reason why there's two of them is the way that you deploy Kubernetes is it's recommended that you don't do everything in one, right? You do it in stages, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So Terraform works in the concept of providers.
Okay.
So provider is can be a cloud provider, but it also can be a stack, right? Like, so they have plugins and connections, integrations into things like GitHub, right? So you can have a GitHub provider and codify a lot of the interactions to the APIs on GitHub using Terraform, right? But I'm going to get into like the details of that in a minute. Are we good on time, man? You're good?
Yeah, so far we're good.
I mean, I'm gonna stay on and finish.
I'm good.
This.
I want to get this deployed.
Okay. All right. Cool. So,
I'm curious to see this working and deployed.
My mother said, "Thanks, Mom. I hope you're proud."
While we're waiting for this, if you go back to your code in Sublime, you have a duplicate.
I'm sorry.
Line 28. You just copied it by mistake. You duplicated it by mistake.
Oh, this one. Yeah. Thanks for catching it. Let's see if it's this. Oh shit, that's not what I wanted, but okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. You know what? Push it twice right now. Just
right. Yeah.
No, that's a good call. And you know what? That's what I pasted. I copied that. Yeah. Good catch, buddy.
I just wanted to.
That's what I guess this paired programming business is all about,
point
right?
this out. Yeah.
But wait a minute. So I lost my. Wait. You know what? Let me do a. Whatever. I'll just
redo it. And
I got it. I'm just gonna.
Perfect.
I'm gonna just plow through, right? And there you go.
Okay. There you go. Okay. This is better.
Cool.
Better. There you go.
So I have pretty much everything that we need as far as the job. So let's run through it real quick. I created my workspaces. That's cool. And we're going to reference those in a minute. Then I created an image, which I pre-baked. This is something I use all the time for examples. And it has the Google Cloud CLI tool installed. You know, all these tools that that are used to interact with those cloud providers, they're produced by those providers themselves. So Google has this tool called the Google Cloud SDK, which is basically a CLI. So it's all, again, Terraform is baked into this image. The Google CLI is baked in. And then the next thing here, here's an environment variable, right, that basically we need to define. And this is just to set up that CLI tool so that it knows to go to a specific project in my cloud. So see up here, you have projects. And basically I have one called CI/CD workshops, right? And this is where, like, you know, I wanted to deploy into this specific project on my cloud, right? And as you can see here, right, so this is the Google Cloud Platform. So right now, I just want to show everybody that we have no Kubernetes engines, no GKE clusters running. So, you know, so people don't think we're bullshitting here. But let's go ahead and jump back into the code, because this is boring watching those spinners. And then, right, so I'm basically saying to the environment, hey, I want to establish, right, this value, which is my project, CI/CD workshops. And then here in the steps, right, I'm going to check out the code because I need my Kubernetes or my HashiCorp Terraform code, which it doesn't exist yet in here, but I'm going to make it in a moment. And then, of course, I'm going to label it, right? So let's go ahead and first get the code over there. I want to make sure that I do have it in a, I'm just going to rob it from the other project. So let's do a CP command -r, which is recursive. And then I'm going to go up one, and I think it's called forked. And then I'm just going to grab that Terraform folder that I have, right? And then from there, let me make sure, So, oh, wait, of course I have to tell it where. I'm going to tell it to just copy it to the root of this. Now my Terraform folder is here. And I have two things here. GKE cluster, which is the creation of that cluster. So let's talk about that before we go into to this. So basically, create, where is it? Let me knock this down. The create GCP, and let's close this up to give us.
And this is in your.
What's that?
Yeah. Okay. I was just seeing like where you were pointing to. Perfect.
Yeah, no worries. So basically what we're doing here is we're going to create a GKE cluster, right? And then the main. So the way that Terraform works is you can, all these .tf files are basically the directives for the infrastructure as code. I like to break mine out a little bit into different modes, right? So that I know, like, you know, you have a provider, kind of initialization in main, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing here is, oh yeah, let me, why didn't it pick up? Okay, let me do this real quick before I want to.
What were you
install Terraform, or what happened here? Something's not right. Okay, here we go. So let's do, I think it's Terraform. I thought I had it, but we're gonna add it anyway. So I wanted to, like, you know, look nice instead of this white stuff. I think Terraform is here. So now, yeah. So now we open.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
So so yeah. So basically, what you need to do first is set up a. Remember, I was talking about state. So
right.
this right here. Normally, if you don't have this, it will save the state file locally, which is not good, because let's say you're working on multiple teams, and if you have the state of a deployed Kubernetes cluster locally, your teammates can override what you're doing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So real quickly, what this is basically telling the system, right, to go and save my state in Terraform Cloud, right? Remote backup of the remote system, which is these workspaces here, right? So remember, I switched them to forked Kubernetes. So remember, I have to change these, right, back to the proper workspace where I want to save these. Otherwise, it's going to take a dump on me and tell me, I don't know where you're trying to save this to.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So basically what's going on here is, this is my main, right? And my main is basically the resource. Like I said, Kubernetes or HashiCorp and their infrastructure as code is based off of providers. And if you look in their documentation, you can look all these things up. Right. And then from providers, you have resources. So those are just like the objects inside of the provider. So the provider would be something like Google Cloud, right?
Right.
And then the resource would be a Google container cluster, which is a GKE cluster.
So you define that in this configuration file.
Exactly. And then what I'm saying here, I'm just giving it a name, primary. So this is just a reference within the file. Yeah.
Right.
And then from there, we're going to give it a name, which is a variable. And again, I like to break things out. So Kubernetes or HashiCorp, the Terraform has a concept of variables, right? And what I've done is I've just kind of pre-populated these. But the cool thing is with this, you can override them in the CLI, right? So you could say, like, I want to change maybe this project to something else, right? Yeah. I could say in my CLI, -var, and then you give it the variable name equals whatever new value. But these are the defaults that I like to use, yeah?
Right.
And then here's the credential file. Now, this credential file, right, is very important, because this is going to give CircleCI the access it needs to make to do things on my account in GKE or in GCP. So let's go ahead, and I think I covered. Here's the provider. By the way, here's the providers file. So remember when I said here's the concept of Google, right? And the variables, right? It's a project, a region, and then the credentials, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Coming out of the var, right? So the reason why you would want to do this is, and you'll see this later in the pipeline build, it just gives a nice flexibility to things, right? And by the way, if you put these in variables, you can reuse this code. But they also have a concept of modules, which is also pretty cool. So now that I've covered that, right, the cluster bit of it, let's go ahead and talk about deployment. So let's take a look at the pipeline again, because we're kind of the pipeline, and we're kind of getting into the more complicated stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So if we look here, remember we needed this. Let's set this up then first. So as the cluster, in order for Terraform to save that state to the remote on the back end, right?
Yeah.
I need to provide my pipeline with a token, which is a very sensitive thing, right? It's linked to my account.
Yeah.
So just like we did with my Docker,
You can just put it in your
variables.
CircleCI
Yeah,
dashboard.
let's go ahead and jump over to the environment variables layer. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And we're gonna add it here.
Awesome.
Is there any questions or
So far, no. We don't have any questions
from our guys either?
Nope, not from our guys as well.
All right. I don't have any private chat. Okay. I just want to. All right, cool. So who's making the best ads?
I think they were talking about GCP, yeah, I'm assuming.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I play with all players. I'm not promoting. I'm just honestly, GKE is one of the easier Kubernetes managed Kubernetes.
I would have to agree with that because I played around with the AWS Kubernetes deployment. It could get pretty confusing sometimes, but
yeah, and Google's GKEs just tends to be faster, so I lean on it a little heavier for my demos. But yeah, they're all they're all different, but they're all pretty much reliable in the sense once you get up and running.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I'm not trying to
promote
make an ad for anything. Just trying to show you the tools that I generally use.
Sure.
So let's do TF Cloud. And then from there, I called the token in there, yeah. So let's go look at the code again. Yep, I called it TF token. Good.
TF underscore
Now
cloud.
I'm going to, so now I'm going to, what did I do before? All right, I need to base 64 encode things.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the terminal real quick, if I can get it going. All right, so let's see. We got, oh man, Tamimi, jar my memory. I saved it.
So we did a cat for that file.
Did I save it here? No, I didn't. But let me first get that file from my Google Drive. I remember. So let's see. Oh wait, did I save it into?
You already copied it. You already copied that.
Let me see if I copied it into my SSH. Or was that the Google? Well, there's two things we need: the Google file and
the Google file. So you copied that Google file into.
I know the CI/CD is there. All right, so let me just copy the other one from Google Drive. I placed it in there, and then it was called what was it?
TF.
There you go.
Yeah,
and then I'm gonna put it in my.
SSH.
SSH, yeah. Anytime you in your systems, if you have sensitive files, you should definitely put them in your SSH folder for safekeep. Oh shit. Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. So if I do an ls and then boom, it should be there.
There, I see it. Yeah. So all it is right now is catting.
Cool. So what I'm going to do is because you obviously in this. It's a text box, right? So how do you get that file? You need the contents of that entire file into a simple web text box, right?
Right.
And the way we do it is we base 64 encode it.
Okay.
So before I add that value, I take it, snapshot it, base 64 encode. Then I take that value and put it in here. And then in the pipeline, I decode all of it, right? So now it'll be available to me as an environment variable.
That's one way to go for it. I've always kind of wondered how can I deal with sensitive data when it comes to pipelining. So if I base 64 it before uploading it and then decode it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a pretty cool way to do it. Nice. So what we're gonna do is let's do a I guess cat, right? And then now that it lives in there, I can just do well. Let's do the Google Cloud. Oh no, I'm doing the TF. Okay, so we'll do TF token, and then we're going to pipe it, right? And then we're going to say base 64 encode.
Right.
And then I'm going to pipe it out.
64, not based 64. So just you have it.
Yeah, thanks. No Good catch. Then and then I'm going to pipe it out to my, what was it in PB?
PB copy, yeah.
PB copy, yeah. I'm usually a Linux person, so I don't really use this stuff that well.
Clip, yeah.
So now I have it pasted in my clipboard, right? Because I base 64 encode it.
Right.
That file, and now I have the value. See, it's in there, and then I can add it. Now we have the Docker login, Docker password, and my token, which I didn't even You didn't even see it, right?
Right.
Security tokens, which are pretty cool. So the next thing I want to do is cat, and then we need to also create one for Google Cloud. So let's go ahead and get that started before I do anything else. Okay. And then we're going to do another add variable. And I think I need to look up, I think it's Google_cloud keys, but I want to make sure before I, there it is. Google well, why don't we just, let's do this. So there's no mess ups. Cool. So we got that. And then we need to base64 encode that, which is really simple since, that's not what I want to do. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's really simple. Just go SSH. And then what was the name of it? CI/CD. There you go. And then I'm going to pipe it.
Same thing to base64 to copy it.
Base64. And then pipe it again. PB copy. It should do it. So now I have that value. And I'm going to stick it right up in there. So yeah, this should basically populate all of my environment variables that I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all right. So that's the whole beauty of CircleCI as well. They are sensitive, right? Information. Anything you stick in there, we mask it. So you have to have a little bit of detail just to see, like, if you're, because sometimes you can have a whole page full of these, and you want to make sure that at least the values are matching.
Right.
For the most part, right? So we have that, and I think we have all the bits we need for at least the variable bits. The next thing I want to do though is in this system is let's talk about. So we created a cluster. The thing is with Kubernetes, that's great that you have a cluster, but now you have to create what they call pods, right?
Right.
And what that consists of is called a deployment in Kubernetes. And pods are basically a grouping of Docker containers that are running. So this application that we have, the beauty of Kubernetes is it can spin up and scale your application. So the more people use that application, the more resources you're going to consume, right? And more to balance all of that load. You need to get more instances of this application running to balance out that it's basically supply and demand, right? So if you have a high demand, you have to increase your supply, which is in this case a Docker container. So what the Kubernetes has is a concept of deployments, right? And again, I'm going to use infrastructure as code to build out all of this stuff. And what I have here is a folder called Kubernetes, right? So this is the GKE stuff. So this only pertains to creating a cluster on GKE, right? And since they're connected, I'm going to, do both of these jobs at the same time. So let's go ahead and expand this so that we can add what I call, I think I like to name this one GKE deploy app. That's what I usually, so GKE
deploy app
and underscore app, right? So basically what this is going to do is create a job. We're going to create a job, and then, but the thing is, now I'm going to start creating dependencies, right?
I was just going to say, wouldn't this depend on the creation of the cluster before you deploy the app? Yeah.
So when you create a dependency, normally, right, you see how the top three there in the jobs list don't have a semicolon or a colon behind it. That's because it's when you do that, you intend to create a list. And what I'm going to do now is create a requires list, right? Which is going to set my dependencies. So and based on the jobs, right? So GKE deployment, so the app will not be deployed unless all of these things like run test, right? Passes. Also build Docker. Build a Docker image passes. And then also the thing we needed to run on is what? GKE
Okay, makes sense.
Cluster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we've just set up a dependency, yeah?
Right.
Which is really, really cool. The thing is, I also would like to have a way to destroy all of this in my pipeline, right?
Right.
But before we go into that, I'm going to go ahead and fill out now the job, which I definitely have pre-baked.
Right.
In interest of time.
And I want to see here, like, once we deploy it, let's go ahead and try to deploy this.
Yeah, I'm going to try to deploy this. So what I'm going to do here is grab
your deploy app.
Yeah, this stuff. And we're going to call this GKE app. And I grab all that stuff. And it's literally, well, not literally, but almost the same kind of feel as the GKE cluster job.
Yeah.
So if you can see that, right? Again, we're going to use that same image. I'm setting up the project because it's on the same project and checking out the code. And then I created a job or a run block called deploy app to GKE.
Where you put the commands in there.
Similar to what we saw earlier,
right?
Except for the differences. Remember when we created those environment variables, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, right? Like, so remember the pipeline is kind of tying this all together.
Right.
Otherwise, you would, you would be dependent on latest, and that's not a good thing to use latest when you're doing specific builds, right?
Right.
So that's why I was tying that pipeline number, because in my deployment, I want to say, hey, use this Docker image, right? And I put it in a variable, right? Oh, remember when I said the HashiCorp variables?
Yeah.
In my TF files?
Yeah.
Here's a good example of that. Remember the Docker image? So if we look at, let's see, the variable file here, see this variable is that, right? And that's how you would kind of override. Later on, we use that here in the Terraform plan.
Okay, makes sense.
So this Terraform command is just a CLI tool that's already pre-installed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm building out all that stuff. And remember the Terraform Cloud remote token, right?
Yeah, the one that we
base64 encoded it, put it in a variable. Now in my pipeline, I have to decode it and stuff it into this Terraform RC file, which lives in
the Terraform command expects it to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just trying to pre-bake all this stuff into the places where it needs to be so that the system knows where to grab this stuff.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So these keys, right, are very important. Again, my pipeline is very powerful, right? So if it gets compromised, they could just run rampant in my platforms.
That's true. Yeah.
Under my own, identity.
Right.
So,
we don't want that.
It's pretty cool that teams can share, basically have placeholders for secrets and not really expose anything. And you can push this to GitHub, right? And no one's wiser, and nothing's compromised.
Right.
So that's pretty powerful. I mean, I know some older systems that don't have those capabilities, and it was pretty rough back in the day. We had to do some really innovative things.
Right.
And by the way, that also didn't allow us to automate a lot of things, So
the beauty of this is you could do a lot of automation, lot of automation. Yeah,
well, give you robust automation. You know what I mean?
That is true. Yeah.
So what we're doing here is we're going to CD into Terraform. So the way Terraform works is you have this folder, right? And this is where my code is, right? So I want the Terraform to initialize. What this does is, remember when we were talking about providers?
Yeah.
What that does is
make sure that you're doing
the Kubernetes providers here. I don't need to fill out anything here because it's a deployment, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing really that I need to do there. But what we're going to do here is we create a service. So, let's talk about the deployment one first real quick. So with this resource, right, I'm doing a deployment. So this is equivalent to in Kubernetes, you could do this with a kubectl.
Yeah.
But you could also use a YAML file as a manifest, right?
Right.
A deployment manifest.
Right.
What HashiCorp Terraform does is enables you to build this out, that YAML file in a nice, using their DSL domain specific language. And this is a mixture of I think it's Go and I would say like a JSON type, right, or JavaScript, like it kind of feels that way, the syntax, but it's not, right? It's a HashiCorp configuration language is what they call it, or
HashiCorp configuration language.
I think it's HashiCorp HCL. Anyway, so yeah, it's a pretty cool DSL. But basically, yeah, so that deployment's gonna basically set a workload, what they call a workload in Kubernetes up, and then the last thing you need is, well, I don't even think we need this service TF, right? Because we're not, so in a normal application, like a web app that this is based off of, you would need to open ports, right? So this is basically telling the load balancer, right? And I don't think we need this load balancer. Am I right? I mean,
no, we don't need it.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave it there for now, but I'm gonna comment it out.
Yeah,
so
we don't need it, but keep it just in case.
And let me make sure that there's no service. Yeah. So no. I know I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get rid of this as well, because it'll just take a dump on us. Like, what are you talking about? So basically, this output file is just like a standard out kind of thing, right? So you could tell the Terraform system to pump out like the name of the cluster, which is I'm doing here, right? And you can actually query, the system as well to give you information, so that like if this was a typical web app, we would then we would stand up those ports and a load balancer, but since it's just a MQTT, it's just going to call back, and it doesn't need an ingress for it. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. This is all from the old school stuff. And I'm going to save it because we need to. And I believe I need to save all these actually, right? So let me go down the line to make sure that we don't have any.
Yeah, you gotta save it, and
I have to purchase it. I have the old version. I need to.
Oh man, I stopped using Sublime when I started using Godbot. Like I don't have anything against Sublime, to be honest.
No, yeah. I'm gonna send you money, guys. I promise. It's not
amazing.
I just started using it like this week, so I will buy the software. You should be buying the software if you're using it for sure.
Right, I agree. Supporting software.
So yeah, so we've basically cleaned that up. I don't think we don't need a load. So this will actually go even faster because there's no load balancer.
Yeah, we're not setting up load balancer in there.
Yeah, and then we have the container. Okay, so what's happening here is I'm going to initialize, right, and that's just going to download the dependencies Terraform needs, and the provider resources it needs, and then this is basically like a command to do a graph, right? So it's like a dry run. It basically sets up and also validates your Terraform to make sure that it's valid, right? Syntax, and then it puts it out to this plan text file. So once that's there, what we need to do, since this is a deployment to a container, right? We need to use the Google Cloud CLI to get the name of the cluster, right? Or I'm sorry, to get the credentials or like an access, right, to the cluster, that's where this cluster name is coming from, and then you're telling it which zone it's in, right? So these are the required bits it needs. Once that's all there, and what this does is set up kubectl for the context of that Kubernetes cluster. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense here when you mentioned the last things, that you're just creating the full cluster.
Well, so what it's doing is there's in the background there is kubectl, so Google Cloud kind of hides that from you.
Yeah.
So there is a context for Kubernetes kubectl. It's their CLI for Kubernetes.
Right. Yeah.
And it's setting the context, saying, hey, when the next operations on Kubernetes are going to be to this specific cluster in GKE, has all the specifics basically for it. The config, it's all a config map for Kubernetes. So yeah, once that's done, then this command here is executing, right? The dry run, the plan txt. And then when that happens, it should it should create
I'm curious now to see what we're gonna do when we commit and push the code.
But one thing I will say, because it's automated, and once this is all created, we need a way to destroy this stuff, right?
Oh, as a cleanup kind of thing.
Yeah, so cleanup, right. So, and you would ask yourself, okay, Angel, so why are you creating all of this infrastructure for a simple test? And the reason why I do this in my pipelines is I want to test basically like a smoke test, right? I want to make sure that this Docker image is going to actually run in the target environment, in the environment I'm targeting. In this case, I want to target Kubernetes, right? And I want to create a whole cluster, and I want to create a deployment, and then I want to, maybe just click a couple buttons. Well, actually, we're gonna see the stream coming from your app, right, over there.
Yeah,
is that right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So once this is up and running, we're gonna use Tamimi's app, and he'll share his screen, and we're gonna see that thing going and consuming and then publishing data. So I'm gonna create what we call a manual step. What time is it? Oh man, dude, are you good?
It's 4:50. Yeah, let's see if we have like within the next 10 minutes what we could do with this deployment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'll tell you what. Let me. So why don't we just step the destroy piece? The reason is I can always do that later. All right. So let's deploy this app. All right. That's good. We'll stop there.
One thing I wanted to say is, remember when we put the environment variables in my app? Maybe we want to pass these environment variables somehow.
Yeah, so we could do that.
But let's deploy the app first and see if this works. And once it works, it's gonna like not connect to the broker because the environment variables are not there. But let's see if the actual setup of the infrastructure is working, and then we get back to that.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking here is we could do the way you could actually just run it. Let me do this. We can test it right now, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because we already built a container, right?
That is true.
Run, and then IT, and then I don't like to leave these containers laying around, so we're going to remove it after.
Yeah.
And what was the name of it? Kubernetes, right?
Yeah, Kubernetes.
Yeah, and then Kubernetes. And
it will by default take the latest, right?
Yeah. So let me think about that. Yeah, I think that's all we need because it'll egress.
Yeah.
You know what I'm gonna do? Yeah, let's just do it this way.
We need to find a way to pass the environment variables as well.
Wait. I screwed that up. Hold on.
Oh no, IT. Yep.
Yeah. I'm used to like the unable to find locally. Yeah. So he's pulling it down.
Yeah.
We already have a lot of the layers here already, so that's nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's going to.
I think here, yeah, with the run, it will eventually require you to. Oh, okay. So like here, it just runs the container, and then we have to navigate and do an npm start. So you're running it vanilla as opposed to running it from a Docker file.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, this is I'm actually running it from my client, and this is just to test. So if you don't see any action on your end, then we know there's a problem, right? The problem is this is it's probably those dependencies that I didn't have layered, but that's okay. This is the actual application, all those bits. But at the end of the day, yeah, this is good. And you can see I have a really slow connection today. Ever since COVID-19, it's been pretty wild here. Wow, we have a pretty steady stream though. Jeremy, I need some of that Google Fiber, man. Anyway, so let's look at let's work on this while that's going on. I think let me double check everything. I think we're good. Yeah, and then I can destroy it later if you want to just knock this out in 10 minutes. All right, so why don't we just let's just commit it. What the hell? If it works, it works. If not, then it's all good. We'll just call it a day. So, right, this is happening. Well, it's moving fast. All right, let me grab an iTerm while we're here. I'll let that run. Oh, where did that go? Okay. There we go. All right, let me. Wow. This connection is really slow today. Where did it go? That's it. I'm gonna boost up. Oh wait, we got some action here. Hold on. I think my computer seems to have wanted to die on me. All right, here we go. We're getting the terminal back. Oh, it's running. Are you seeing anything? Tamimi? Tamimi, you there? You there?
Yes, I am, but you can't hear me.
Oh yeah, I couldn't hear you. All right, so yeah, we're getting error connection. Yep, there you go, man. Yep, we need to you see that?
Yeah, so I can see that there's bad connection.
Yeah, because of the username, it's saying
the username and the password. So like all what we need to do is just pass the username password as an environment variable. So what we need to do, I think this is kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a 2-layer step. The first thing is we need to include these variables from the Docker file. And then assuming that these variables already exist because CircleCI dashboard, we include those variables from in the scope of the pipeline, basically.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that. The problem is when I run this, I need to
we need to pass it directly in the Docker file.
Yeah, so we could do one of two things. The environment variable. Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, there is yes. Let's do that because that'll build it anyway. And then,
yeah.
Okay, so I think it's yeah. So what we can do here is we'll just do it at the end. env. And what was the name?
I pasted. I sent it to you on Slack. The three.
Okay.
There's three end variables.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know what is going on with my computer today. It's just so slow. You know what? I'm gonna shut. No, forget it. It's just all this streaming. It's crushing it. Ay. All right.
Yeah.
E-test. Thanks, buddy. All right. Wait. Oh, you sent them to me. All right, I got you.
Yeah.
I'm not jealous. All right. So we need to have All right, I got them all here. Oh my goodness, this is so bad. I'm sorry about that. Well, Jeremy's listening, so that means I need a new rig, Jeremy. You guys got to buy me a new rig if you want me to do streams. All right, so let's go ahead and paste this stuff.
Right.
And then env. Yeah, this is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Just for now, right? Like to get it going because I'm trying to.
The demo.
Yeah, I think we got this. Yeah, this looks good. All right. So we'll just commit this as well. And I think we have everything we need. So yeah, we have everything we need. Let's go ahead and yeah, this should do it. I'm confident this will work. All right, so let's go ahead and do a get status.
Confidence is great.
Well, you know what they say about that, right? So, oh my God, this is so bad. Status. You know what? I'm going to turn off this Docker thing because I don't think I need it anymore. Yeah, quit. Save some memory. All right, so status, and we're gonna do, whoa, there's a couple things here. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, so let's do get add dot,
You want to add it all?
and then get status, right? Cool.
Perfect. Now all you got to do is just commit this.
Yeah, get commit, and then we're gonna do a -a because save some time, and an M, and then say fingers crossed.
Jesus Christ. You can also put an emoji as well.
Nah, that's for you guys. All right, now this is the big show, man. This is for all the.
Let's see. I'm excited. I'm curious.
This is the payout.
And excited. Yeah, I'm scared that I would like break the build, but
No, we got this. See, look. So now, right? If we delve in, it picked up change, and
that's pretty neat. And it shows that deployment of the app will not deploy up until all these 3 work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can do I'm gonna cut Slack out because it's just I'm trying to get rid of all the extras that don't need to be extras. All right, and then so hopefully, yeah, I don't know why, but today my connection is just trash. So there you go, right? So things are happening, right?
Yeah, they're running.
We're building the image and the cluster at the same time, but it doesn't really matter because the deployment needs to wait on this guy here. So that it failed again, but that's okay. Let's see why. So these are good. Failures are good. Tells you
think
that
it's the same failure?
And I'm sure it's some silly Terraform state thing that I'm missing. I'm not sure what's going on, but we're going to figure it out. Once this silly connection, I definitely need a higher bandwidth. Again, checking that out today.
Yeah, I really think investing in a new bandwidth would be totally worth it.
Okay, so again, we're having the lock.
Did you pass the force?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do that.
The lock failure? Lock falls?
Let's see. So try running plan to see any changes are required for your all Terraform commands should work. If you set the module backend for we've done all that. How is that possible though? So here's one way to figure this out too, right? So you can rerun this failed job from and SSH into it.
Yeah.
And debug. So that's what we'll do. Do you have time or is it?
I have like a couple minutes. We could see.
Yeah. If not, we'll figure it out.
Like
I can stay on and fix it. Talk to myself.
Like I'm curious to like know what the issue is with this.
I think Jeremy bailed.
Yeah, and I think he did. Yeah.
All right. So so this is running. All right, cool. So I have so it failed again, right? But what I'm doing now is I'm SSHing into the system where it failed, right? So now I'm going to have access to that container.
Yeah.
And let me change the background on this so that it's a nicer, cleaner.
So we could like see what's going on.
Yeah, let's change the profile so you can see it better to solid black and white or black and green. I like that. And then use selected profile. There you go. Is that better? I think so. Let me plus it up. How's that?
Yeah, okay. This is good. Zoom in. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Awesome.
And then I need to go into, what was it? Kubernetes, right? And then, oh wait, no, I need to just, let me clear all this and then paste. So now we're in the container. LS, yeah. So what we're going to do is jump into the Terraform. Which one failed? The GKE, right?
The GKE one, yeah.
Terraform GKE.
Yeah, now just kind of like basic concepts when it comes to pipelines. I've dabbled with these concepts of like SSHing to the container of the pipeline and the build and stuff with Concourse.
Yeah, and I'm doing a Terraform. I want to make sure that so that's all there. All right, cool. And now I need to do Terraform. What's it called? Init for sure. So that's initializing. The things are there, and then I need to do an Terraform. Let me look at
which. Yeah, I was going to say let's go look at the commands that we have. So we did the init.
Okay, this stuff is
plan.
This doesn't. Well, is this the? Okay, so this is the one. We have all that. This is all there. We've done this. Let me try running this real quick just to make sure. I think that of course not. Why is that? vCloud?
GKE CLuster.
vCloud. Why is that not available? Because it lives in. Oh, right. I know what it is. Oh, path. Oh, I have to export the path. Those things that export path and then equals to, and then I need to do user. I believe it's let me do it this way. User.
Why isn't it?
Oh, I know. It's because I'm silly. User local, and then bin, and then Google, and then bin again. It's the story of my life, man. Just configuration. All right, so
there you go. Okay, now let's try the vCloud off.
There you go. So we can go up and off it. What?
Oh.
Python not found. That's not true. Oh, that's because.
Oh, all your path is fucked up?
This why Python? All right, let's see which. Oh yeah, it's just all these things, man. Like that's not the reason why though. No, you know what? This is fine. What I need to do is Terraform. That's all I really care about anyway. So
yeah,
not there either. Oh yeah. Let's see.
What if we get the same issues with Terraform? That
user local. I know. I'm pretty sure I put it in here. So, and ls is not found. Why not? Let's think about this.
Given the image, because like what image base did you use to spin up this pipeline container? It's your image.
Who am I? Let's see. That doesn't even work.
Yeah, so it's your image. The image that you have does not have these commands.
Well, it's an APK, so they wanted to keep it small. Let's do sh. There. Oh yeah. So right. So this I need to break out of that. Okay.
You just like need to exit this and oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to think of why this would. Did they bootstrap it? They probably bootstrapped a user in there. Let me check. What happens is.
Okay.
They bootstrap users sometimes.
One idea I think what we could do is for this in the sake of time is I should have mentioned at the beginning that we're gonna put all the solution on the GitHub repo.
Yeah. Well, this is what we can do. Like, all right, the pipeline failed, but I can deploy this from my machine. So let's just do that.
Yeah, and we have to see. Yeah, do a Docker run from the doc file.
Well, no, I'm gonna do it from my machine. So like, I'm just gonna exit this.
Yeah.
So what we could just run it.
Deploy the cluster on your machine.
What's that?
Deploy the cluster on your machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try this out.
Yeah. So let's scratch. Let me kill the. I forgot to one thing about I will say when you. I'll fix this up later. I just need more time. But
Yeah.
one thing that I will say when you do SSH in CircleCI, definitely want to cancel the job so that that's not available to folks, right? To SSH in and do things.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So yeah, so once it's canceled, then that kills the session. Even if you exit, it's still going to stay alive, right? For up to 2 hours in activity. If you don't SSH in, it only stays up for 10 hours. Or 10 minutes, I'm sorry, 10 hours. All right, so let's go into Terraform, right? And I should have everything I need here. So let's go ahead and do that. CD, Terraform, and so GKE CLuster first. We want to make sure that works. And then we want to do a Terraform. Well, before I do that, let me do a Google Cloud, G-Cloud. This box does not have it. Damn it. I don't know. No, I have it. Okay, so let's just run that command real quick. We'll try it. Terraform, and then init, because we have to initialize the backend. Token cannot. Okay, great. Right. Okay, that's easy. That's an easy fix. I can do that quickly.
Or
so
token.
Do a CP and take that. It's just that token file. I need to rename it to SSH, and then
Terraform TF. Yeah.
And then I need to just put it there, and it's a .terraform rc, and that should get us where we need to be. And she likes it. So what this is doing is bringing down those providers, right?
Right.
And since I am using the remote, right, the workspaces, and my connection is uber slow for some reason. All right, so yeah, it's initialized. So the next step is going to be Terraform plan, and I
that should automatically take it.
Yeah, I need to provide it a credential. No, I don't. No, I don't, because I have a default var. So Terraform plan, and then we want to do an out command, and then we're going to call it plan.txt for shits and giggles. And this will graph out what it is. See what is going on with this. Why am I locked? So it's not me. It's definitely something going on. So let's try that. Locked false, right? Maybe that's what it takes to unlock it. I don't know. And then if that works, then we can run it.
Yeah.
Then we can run it. Maybe this is what it needed, a kick in the ass. I don't know. You know, yeah, it looks like that was it, man. So you know what? Let's rerun that failed job.
And just like put in no.
What do you think? Let's just try.
Yeah.
Because I unlocked it from here. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I swear to God, if that was the issue.
It's gonna be it. I promise you that.
I
already know.
Then could you just put the Docker file with the new in variables, commit it, push it, and let's run a new job.
Yeah, it's already up. I'm just rerunning the failed build. So
okay,
we've already done that. So see, it's still failing, right? Yeah, is it still locked? Shit. All right, let's just do it. Yeah, so that's fine. I'll figure that out later. I need to just I'll get with Terraform people. So we already did that. We did the plan, right? Now we just need to do the apply. So it's Terraform, not Treeform. Terraform. Apply, and this should resource not found. What is going on? What is going on? Let's try this again. Gee whiz. So I guess we're gonna have to do this lock shit every time. That's fine. And yeah, we can even update. I'll update it once I get it fixed. I'll update.
Because if you do that, you could just like update the the Terraform files.
Yeah. Well, so this what does this one? Oh, yes, right. So when you do it manually like this, right? You have there's a flag called auto approve, and that will not
Yeah.
prompt.
Yeah.
So this is actually looks like it's gonna create. So I need to get with my people over there at Terraform or at HashiCorp and see what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
We should start seeing a cluster here shortly. It takes a few minutes. That's part of the slowdown. But while this is happening, let me go ahead and I'm gonna just put that command. Right, that command. What was it? Lock false.
Lock equals false. Yeah.
Right. Was it? What did we use? Oh man, I lost it. Where did it go?
It says --.
Oh wait, it's up in the. I'm sorry, wrong terminal. It's this one. So see, yeah, it's graphing out all the infrastructure it needs to build, all that stuff, which is pretty cool. So yeah, dash lock false. All right. So let me just update that. See, it never goes as planned, man. Never. And then I'm just going to copy it and paste it everywhere. Everywhere I think it needs to be. Down here.
Mm-hmm.
And down here. And not there, but here. Oh, by the way, if the reason it prompted me is because I didn't supply it the plan.txt.
Yep.
If I were to play,
if you supply the plan.txt, it wouldn't prompt you.
Right, exactly.
Makes
so this
sense.
cluster is being created. You know what we could do?
Mm-hmm.
If the cluster is created, then we can run that pipeline one more time. And then, so see, the cluster is being created. And then since it's created, the pipeline will just deploy the app. We're almost there, man. Let's try it. Let's try it one more time. If not, we'll do it manually. How's that?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So let me get the locks out of the way. Make sure I got everything good. And then up here is where it was locked. Okay. Cool. All right. So I'm gonna save that. And then we're going to wait for this to come online. Which actually, yeah, why not? Let's just try a deploy, right? While we're waiting. So this will be the last try. So before, let's see, get status. By the way, this is even with pre-baking, right? They're always going to run into problems.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that lock problem ever. So it's pretty annoying.
I've learned a lot of new things from this.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I mean, I did too about Solace.
Did you learn things from like event driven and like putting the app up?
Every MQTT platform is different, right? Like
that's true, yeah.
So like, learning, seeing how you were integrating that. And by the way, you didn't even use any SDKs that you guys have, right?
Nothing. No. That was
pretty interesting because normally
uses an SDK,
SDK to get stuff faster.
Yeah, no, everything I used was open source. Everything.
Yeah. So I'm going to say lock false. And then, yeah, my son is practicing his cello in the background. He's getting better.
Amazing. How old is he?
Right. So so we have a state conflict. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. Maybe that's what it is, Tamimi.
What is it?
Shit. That's what it is. So I think what's happening is, let's see. I think what's happening is it needs to be locked.
Wait.
Shit. So maybe that's.
Wait, you got like settings locked.
Maybe it's me. Is not all can proceed normally. You can.
Oh my God! If that's the case, do you think that's all?
You can manually unlock, but see, I don't get that, right? Like it's locked. Let's see what the state says. Here we go. Okay, I unlocked it.
What?
We've done this a million times, right?
Yeah, we did.
All right. All right, let's try this again. So,
Like, are you gonna try it with no lock?
let me see. To retry this. Oh, okay. Let's try this. At least they give you some way to troubleshoot this. But it did create the. It just didn't save the state. You see what I'm talking about with this, like the state stuff. You have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Acquiring resource not found.
Hmm.
Please above. This is not right. Let's try this. Because it seems to. Maybe we need to lock it and then I don't know, unlock it. I don't know.
Like from terminal, like.
Yeah. Oh. Let's try this. Force. No, wait. Let's try the. What was it? That command. Here,
Lock equals false.
Yeah, let's try this one. I don't get this whole. What I'm trying to do is, all right. You know what? Let's do this. Terraform destroy. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, you know.
Oh man. The destroy apply.
Oh no, destroy, not Detroit. Yeah, I need to get with my people.
The HashiCorp people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man.
Good call.
Let's do this.
Wait a minute. What the? All right. Let's see. So why is? Let's see. And then state. Yeah, nothing's ever been uploaded. But let's check in back here. Yeah, this is still there. So normally you would see it destroyed. Well, I think that's a big fail. I need to look at what's going on with this. So,
but like honestly, the whole point behind building an app and having a CI/CD pipeline setup, like an end-to-end setup, we've established that. You know, like starting like this path of build an app and deploy and test every single time you commit. This was established.
Well, you know, one thing we can do though is let's just build. So let's take out these steps. So we don't need to do these things, but I would like to see our container running at least locally on my machine, and then be done with it. If you have the time.
Yeah.
So let's just commit that, and then I'll come back and retread this later. So let's go ahead and wait. Did we? Yeah, we'll do one more build, and then that's it. Because I think we already pushed one.
Yeah, we'll do one more.
We can just do. Let me just do this. Whatever. Git commit, and then .circle config, and then the other one was a message. Last try, and after that we're done. Okay.
Last try.
And this is how you develop software for 3. We've been going at it for 3 hours, right?
Basically.
Yeah. All right. So we now do a git push, and then that should basically get us a build. And I'm going to destroy this because I need to figure out, why this happened. And it's all this remote stuff. So I need to talk to my people
HashiCorp.
HashiCorp and see why. What am I doing something wrong, or is there a bug? I don't know. This was all working. So like if you look, last night I was actually playing around with this, right?
Yeah.
And there's states here, right? So these things work. Right here, see?
Yeah.
So there's something going on with this, and I don't really want to. I could have run it locally, but it's all good. We'll just.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at CircleCI. I want to see that pipeline build. So once this is done, we should be able to.
And we know that this works because we tried it.
Yeah, and then I can just jump into the terminal here. Let me clear this out. And then, oh crap, I got to load up Docker again, which is fine. While we wait anyway. At Docker clients. Linux. Anyway, so I learned today a lot about the MQTT.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, what did you learn?
And I really like the fact that Solace took the advantage of having all that COVID data and consolidating it into really easy manageable. That's actually pretty cool. It says a lot about the company, and the people there are thinking about providing technology solutions to like a real problem. That's it's awesome, and you could actually leverage that, right? So if you want to do like tracing type applications, you could use a lot of that data to
100%. A lot of people use like event-driven systems to trace data. You have like a live tracing source of data that you want to have an efficient message bus to transport it on.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like I said, when it first, when we first got locked down, I was looking at all the open source stuff, and I wanted to help. And one of the things I was doing was I wrote some Python scripts to clean up the data at Johns Hopkins because there was a lot of dupes and stuff.
Yeah.
But then, like 4 days into it, I saw that they had figured it out. So I was like, all right, that's what.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got some smart people working there.
They have a lot of smart people, and they're still contributing to it.
Yeah, this Docker. All right, it's back up. Good. All right, so now I could do a what was it? Docker run, and then we did a let's do it IT so we can see the output, and then from there we're going to call it a Rivera, and it was called COVID Netes, right? COVID Netes. My COVID Netes cluster didn't work. I think that's it. I think that's all we need.
COVID Netes. I still can't get over Kubernetes.
So yeah, that Docker file though, that's a security risk, what we did in that Docker file. But normally we would work it out where, it's still not working.
Because the end variables are not.
Oh, okay. That's easy.
Yeah. All we got to do is just like pass the variable.
Yeah. And then Control D, come on. All right. Ooh. Did it really kill my? Okay. Oh, sorry, man.
No worries.
One more time. Yeah, we can add those with the command. So let me do a edit session, and then profile. Actually, we'll just use this one. There you go.
Nice.
And kill it. All right, and then let's run a. Yeah, I upgraded to this Catalina thing, and now it's pretty crappy actually. Don't like it. So we're gonna do Docker. We're gonna do Docker. No, Docker. There you go. And then what's the what's the command for? Let me look it up real quick. I forget what the flag is for environment variables. Docker run environment variables. And let's just do dash, of course. dash env dash e. Okay.
Dash env.
Well, you could do E, and then I need to grab. Oh man, I need to grab those. We have in the Docker file.
Dash env.
Grab them from there. Where's that Docker file? Here we go. Oh wait, we didn't have them in the Docker file. That's why. I thought I put
them in the Docker file, but did you do a Docker run from the Docker file?
No. But like I stored them. So where the hell did I store them? Shit. That's probably why it doesn't work. Oh no, they're here. Here they are. All right. This is what I'll do. There we go. We're going to get this to work.
I'm committed. Like I want to.
This is totally these last bits are on me, but you know it is what it is.
Oh no worries.
Yeah, at a minimum, I want it to run from the container. And one more time. So normally this would, standard practice, you would not do what I did in that Docker file, but we're just trying to clean this up. All right, I don't know where the rest of the screen is. Let me just grab it and close it up a little bit. Wow, this is huge.
Hit enter and wish for the best.
No, I'm gonna clean this. It's like everywhere. What's going on? What a day. All right, I think we're there. We are some real nerds, man.
I know, I love it.
In my old neighborhood, we get beat up for this stuff.
Now you get jealous from people.
I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Now you should see the connected.
No. COVID-19 not defined.
What? But you're passing it as an environment variable, though.
Yeah. Let's take a look at what the example says. Maybe I might be off. I might be doing it wrong. So one more time. Environment. All right, here we go. I did it right. All right, let's try this then. And then
was it like a dash E or dash env?
No, it's E.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's E. You can do either or.
Yeah.
But great. So let's do this. So we have that. We can do bin bash, I think, yeah. And then this should give me the terminal though. IT. Oh wait, shit. Let me try this.
Kubernetes is not defined.
Let me try this.
Oh, this should be at the end?
True. I'm sorry?
Oh no, I'm just
I'm trying to see if I can. Is it a? Do you know what if it's a bin bash? It should be. It should give me the.
Yeah, bin bash should give you the like.
Let me try this bin sh. Sometimes if you're using the slim stuff.
So it's saying that it's trying to run COVID-19, but there's no such command. Internal eval.
The Docker file has the it should bin bash should work. And I'm running it as root. So that's why I was trying to get access to the container.
It's weird how like it just complained about that environment variable only, the broker.
Oh wait, you know what? I think I know. I think I might know what's going on here.
What?
Yeah. Hold on.
You have to put the name of the image.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was like, okay.
Yeah. This is not right. I'm totally totally.
Just put this at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's try this again. And then
Kubernetes.
That's a silly name, but it was fun.
Oh, there you go.
Hopefully this will do it. I'm hoping, please, fingers crossed. Looks like it's, yay!
Okay, sweet.
There you go, look at that. Received. Are you, put your app on. Let's see what.
You could actually put it on from your end as well. You can see it.
What's the?
Yeah, just on Google, put Solace COVID GitHub.
Solace
COVID GitHub.
GitHub. All right. Damn, man, how many hours you been here? Is this it?
Yeah.
Wait.
No, the second one.
Second one. All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. And then from the table of content, go. Oh man, you need to table of content. Go to sample apps, which is number 3. Yeah. And then you see that MQTT COVID streamer all the way up. Yeah, this one. Click on no under description.
I'm sorry. Oh, this guy.
Yeah, no, below. This one. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Awesome. And then I'm gonna give you a stream to copy paste. So I copy pasted it to you.
Can you put it in the private thingy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I turned off Slack. Is it for?
Where? Oh, here. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem.
Boom. There you go. So just copy paste that into your subscribe.
Yeah. And then we'll go back. Here, yeah. Oh my God, this is gonna be cool. And I click the button, yeah?
Yeah, just click subscribe, and you should watch it.
Yeah. It'll come.
Yeah. So now, as soon as your app, your Docker image,
There it is.
there you go. Yep.
Nice.
There it is.
And that's coming from nice.
Yeah, on these topics, and that's running from your Docker image.
Awesome, man.
Fantastic. I think we established a lot of good things today.
Yeah, I think there's some bits. I'm gonna get this working, and I'll let you know how it works. But
Yeah.
for hanging in there with me. I'm a bit obsessive with this stuff. So.
No worries. I get it. I think we both share that kind of personality. It's like, oh, we gotta get this shit going.
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah.
I don't know if my mother's still on, but love you, Mom. Thanks for the support. And Jeremy, I know you're back there too, probably crying you guys out. But, yeah, there's some folks behind the scenes. My coworker and partner in this, Jeremy. So thanks a lot, Tamimi. I really learned a lot about especially with the Solace platform.
Yeah.
And using how do you have the broker system set up. Also, it's pretty cool that you have like a free tier as well, so people can kick the tires. I think that's really
totally
cool. Because you got those stepping stones, and I enjoyed hacking with you and getting my pipelines.
Hey, it was fun. And I actually learned a lot of new things on pipelines and shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you go because it's like 5:30 and we've been at it for a while.
Yeah.
Without a break. So thank you again, and we're gonna do this again. Maybe next time we'll do something way more complicated.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I'm so happy we got it working. And hey, we got some questions at the beginning, and then I'm curious to know what other people think. So anybody who's watching, thanks for staying that long. And feel free to reach out to me or Angel on our Twitter accounts. And there you go. You have us on the Twitter accounts over there. And that's all I have for today.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take
all
care.
Right. Bye. See y'all later.
All right. Bye.